Okay, so I'm Louise, and I'm with Jake, and we have been arguing about who are the best winners in Survivor, and we have not been able to agree
Been
on
arguing about a few things, but this is one we've been doing today.
right, exactly, because we're very excited about season 40 coming up, and we have opinions about who's going to do well, who's not going to do too well, and it
Also,
turns
we
out
want to
that
get our minds off of Island of the Idols.
yeah, we don't want to think about Island of the Idols. The last episode was traumatic,
I
but
was
we
traumatized.
yeah, I was traumatized too. But yeah, like we found out that we have like very different ways of ranking our favorite winners. So what we did is went and made two separate lists, and we're gonna reveal them to each other for the first time, and I'm sure more arguing will occur.
Yeah, basic ground rules. We both have different metrics for how we're actually ranking winners. I do not rank my winners the same way that she does. We had a very lengthy discussion about what criteria goes into it, like how they are as a player, how they like if it's just in a vacuum of their winning season, like if you put them in 100 games, like how many do they win? We've had a lot of difficulty. We did not agree on much in that
Because
regard.
basically, when I rank my winners, I rank them purely off of the game that they won.
And I
So
can't do
with
that.
see, but with I personally feel like if you're ranking someone like Sandra, Sandra is, in my opinion, one of the best players of all time because I think if you put her in 100 random seasons, she does well almost every time. She's had amazing showings in all three of her games. I mean, she's won two out of three. Game changes, I don't specifically see it as a failure. She should have been first boot, in all honesty,
Oh
and
no,
she
it
made
wasn't a
it.
failure.
But she was swap fucked. She probably would survive if she had stayed with the people that
Yeah,
she was with. And that's why I consider her to be an amazing, amazing player. But in terms of both of her winning games, I don't necessarily have her very, 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 very high.
I
Um,
think that I ranked it a bit based off like if they were returning, I ranked them off of like how they played before. I tried to take out any people that won and then like their later performances, like somebody like JT or RS.
but
So
then
it was we both have very different criteria for how to rank this.
right. So we've ranked 1 to 38.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
think
going
there's
to
going to
go
be
from,
much. I don't think there's going to be much difference between our lower ranks.
I
So
wouldn't assume so.
yeah. All right. So we decided before this who's going to go first. I'm going to go first, and then she's going to rank, or she's going to then say hers. Uh, Also, one more thing. We did list Sandra twice. I initially did not want to list Sandra
But she's played,
twice.
there's
I
38, there might be 37 winners, but there's 38 winning games.
It was because I have a hard time ranking as like ranking winning games as though ranking the winners as players.
Right.
I did settle on ranking Sandra twice, so that was how we determined that. Okay, so number 38 to me. I feel like we're gonna have a very similar bottom five. Number 38 for me is Mike.
What?
Uh, what?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like in terms of a game that is more flawed than it is good. Like Mike probably like to me Mike has the most flawed game because he should not have made it the round past the auction. And the fact that he did, like, I do rate immunity wins as higher than idols, but him over somebody else that used many idols, I think Mike deliberately not he didn't want to put himself in that position, but he did, and it was his own mistake. It was nobody else's fault other than his own, and I think that's what puts him much more lower than anybody else. And I don't, I he could make an argument for I guess up closer to around the top of the bottom 5, but other than that, I don't see it.
Well, I don't agree.
I know you don't
um,
agree.
I don't have Mike ranked particularly high, but I just personally believe Mike was in control
Hey, you
of
can
a
talk
lot
about
of the
Mike when we
early
get
game.
there.
Okay. My 38th pick, I don't know, ranked winner is Bob, which
Okay.
I don't think there's a lot of people who would disagree with me here. Um, I mean, he was utterly useless for almost the entirety of the game. Um, he was kind of liked by a couple of people. Some people didn't really like him. He was in a position where, like, he hadn't even realized he had been replaced in his own alliance. And, like, that's crazy to me. That's utterly crazy to me. The moves that, like, he was carried a lot by his edit, I think, and that's why people liked him. But
The
he was even
fake
in a
idols.
position, the fake idols, yeah, like that's made him like some quirky old guy. But he was utterly useless, and the only reason he even got to the final three is because people forget Susie won immunity,
The good guys always win.
but she wanted to take Maddie, like,
Yeah.
and it was only because Sugar was like, nah, that he ended up getting into the final three.
Yeah.
Like, and arguably, Sugar played the best out of those final three, but everybody hated her.
Yeah. I don't know. When you say play the best, that does very much ignore socially because
Well, yeah, no, I
ooh,
meant like strategic, playing
sugar.
a strategic game. She made the best moves. She was
No, she
arguably one of
didn't.
the. Oh, she made quite a lot of good moves.
She made her moves and they worked
The
out for her, but I do not think they were the best moves.
the
But
problem is
that's
that a lot of the things that she did were based on how she felt about people, not her
yeah,
position in the
that
game.
that's the
But we're not
thing.
talking about Sugar. We're talking about Bob,
All
and he
right,
had to
so
rely on immunities. And while I do also rank that higher than finding and playing idols, um, it just he was utterly useless, and he's very at
yeah.
the very bottom for me.
So my 37 is also Bob. I don't have that much to add in terms of this, just because I think that I do give him a little bit more credit because well, he was never really in a position of danger, and I mean having like being able to have an ally like that in Sugar puts him just ever so slightly above Mike for me. But yeah, he didn't make the mistakes. He just wasn't very self-aware, and that's really about it. He wasn't. That's really the only reason I put him above. And I know you disagree
Okay,
with that, but that's just how I view it.
okay.
So
And
who's your 37?
my 37 is Fabio.
Interesting.
The reason why he's here, I understand that he played the social part of the game very well. You know, people loved him. He was a good boy, and he did admit that, like, and you saw it kind of in confessionals that he was playing on that. He was playing on the fact that everybody liked him, and I appreciate that aspect of his game. But in terms of a winning game, he hardly ever voted in the majority. He has to rely on his immunity wins, and personally, I believe that he was the wrong choice to win the season. I mean, I accept the decision because, like, obviously I can't do anything about it. But I would have felt way better about a Chase win than a Fabio win. Although I enjoyed watching Fabio, I feel like he was more of an amazing character than an amazing winner. He didn't
Hey,
do very much.
Fabio only didn't vote in the majority 4 times throughout the entire game,
No, I mean, like,
which is
but like,
actually really high, but
no, I
still.
understand, but like, I guess because I haven't watched Nick run a long time because I don't really like the season. Um, I just felt like he made a lot of blunders.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, the he voted for Holly when Benry left, and that was a split vote, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus the other two were for him, so I don't know. That's
No,
give or
that's
take. I don't
understood. That's
remember
understood.
I
But
don't
like,
remember Nicaragua well enough to remember that specific round.
I
The
just
thing.
feel like it was on the bottom a lot.
Yeah.
um, no one particularly wanted him around. Like, I mean, they liked him, but I think
Oh yeah,
there
people
was
liked him a lot.
yeah, but no one really wanted him around. No one really wanted to work with him.
Yeah.
Like, and he could have been a great asset to someone, honestly, but no one took took any control of that, but he also didn't necessarily push himself into that strategical game mode. He just tried to save himself via immunities.
Which I don't think is a bad strategy. It just I don't think is a strong.
It's not as a reliable strategy. And I also
Yeah.
base my winner rankings based on how many times were they in danger. I respect someone way more who was never in danger of going home.
That
and
is
won 0
interesting then.
immunities.
That is interesting then that you put Fabio higher if you base it on how many times somebody was in danger.
What do you mean?
Or that you put Fabio lower than a couple other people.
Well, I mean, past the merge, Fabio was in danger quite a lot.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, he had to win out.
Yeah, but I don't think he was in that much danger.
Yeah, but from Final 6 onwards, he had to win out. He had to win.
That might have just been the edit.
But, well, then, I don't know. We don't really have anything else to go on than what we're shown. And what I was shown was that he was someone who did have to win immunities. No one wanted to go to the end with him because they thought he would win, and he did.
What I saw on my television/computer, because I watched on a computer, is a season that the editors were over after a double quit.
Okay, yeah.
Fair enough.
I know that they were trying to make the narrative, I guess, a little bit more interesting, but Fabio didn't really play the game. He didn't.
I can see that, although I don't necessarily agree.
I'm looking at the people I have above him on my list, and all of them are better players than him. 100%.
Fair enough. All right, my 36 is Ben. So, in terms of players, God, I don't want to get into a big long rant about Ben because I'm sure everybody's heard it a million times, but Ben's an okay player. He did not play a good winning game. He had the Mike Light story, which when I first watched Worlds Apart, I was rooting for Mike because, I mean, that was the story the editors were trying to tell. But I didn't feel the same way about Ben in HHH because everything felt so shoehorned in. Yeah, immunities were not shoehorned in. That's always been a part of the game. But hiding idols around part of the camp where he regularly hangs out at, and then a Final Four twist that nobody knew about, and having to do that every single round. He should not have won the game. He lost final immunity. That should have been it.
That should have been Devin's game to win.
Yeah, it should have. So I don't feel like I need to dwell on Ben because I feel like it's self-explanatory at that point. He did not play a strong winning game. He's a good guy, I'm sure. Everything that's been out about him is he's been a good guy. But yeah. So,
yeah.
Who's your 36?
36 is Ben.
Okay.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of it he was heavily aided by production. Although I don't
allegedly.
But I don't count the Final Four twist against him because it's not something that was then taken away. It's something that's become a mainstay. And while I don't like it, if it's a part of Survivor, although granted he didn't know about it.
Yeah, nobody knew about it. That's why I count it lower.
But I feel like because it has affected winners since then, I try not to count too much based on that. But I agree, he needed idols. The only reason I didn't rank him low is because I think people sometimes forget he did control a lot of the pre-merge.
That's why I didn't rank him bottom. Otherwise I would.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I rank immunity wins higher. He was dominant until then.
Yeah, until a little bit after merge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree with everything you said.
Okay, so my 35 is Fabio. I echo a lot of the same points, but I don't agree with all of them. I think Fabio was a bit better than he's given credit for, although it's not it doesn't make it a strong winner, but I think he is better. I think the social likability does go a long way, and I think I rank social winners definitely higher then like this is something we'll get into when we get into like the higher ranked people and how I rank like my top winners. But like a single season social dominant winner, I think to me is better than somebody that's strategically dominant for the game of Survivor. Um, it's depending on the season. It depends on the cast, but I don't think Fabio is necessarily that bad. But yeah, we mostly said everything already about him. All right, what's your next? What's your 35?
My 35 is Chris Underwood.
Okay.
Now, and this like kind of made me sad because
There were two other people that you would rather.
Yeah, I mean, there were two people that I would rather have won. And spoilers, but I don't know why you'd be watching this if you if you didn't want spoilers. But I believe Gavin should have won over him, and I believe I wanted Devons to win the season while watching.
Yeah.
And it was if you had been voted out of the game, like he should have been very bottom for me. But the only reason like he was saved was because the very little time that we did see of him at the very end, he showed to be very, very good.
Yeah. I think
that's why I wish he was on S40. I wish he got a chance to actually play the game.
If we were ranking based on how I view them as a player, Chris would be much higher for me.
Because although he got voted out, I feel like if you actually watch, I went back and I watched the episode he was eliminated. It was kind of like crazy how things. He wasn't meant to go. He wasn't. And it's kind of crazy how everything turned out. And I believe I was happy that we got to see him at the end. I kind of wish he didn't win the fire making. I would prefer if he didn't, obviously. But it's weird as well because like if Devons had won, well, I would have been happier. But Devons would have been ranked somewhat low on my list as well because you were voted out.
I think he would have been around mid for me.
I think he would have been a couple of spots high. He probably would have been around like 32, 31 for me, I think. But like,
I think I would have rated him a little bit higher because of like he basically was a revolving door.
Right.
Like.
Well, I mean, Devon showed a lot of again like strategical and social. Like people liked him. He was very good strategically. He won immunities. Like he was like a very good package of all three things that you need to win Survivor. But if you've been voted out, I do have to dock you like a lot of points for that because you basically went against what is the foundation of the game. You were voted out.
Yeah.
He was aided by the twist of the season, the theme of the season.
Yeah, I just rank Rick like a good bit higher because of how much longer he was in the game and what we actually saw of him.
Chris is 110% docked by the fact that he wasn't there for the majority of the game.
Yeah.
He played
I don't think
9
anybody
out
would
of
argue
30
that.
days. Yeah.
I don't think anybody would argue that.
Yeah, 100%. All right, who is your 34?
34. My 34 is Amber. It's not because I think she played a bad game. I don't like the thing is I do think that of the final two she was the deserving winner. But like do I think that Rob would have been like a better winner if he had won? Possibly, but I do think that Amber was the more deserving winner. Rob did make more moves strategically. Rob was kind of like the carrying part of it, but it's just the fact that they were so loyal to each other that final two in real life. Like they were like Rob was okay losing to her. And they were okay losing to each other. But I don't think that her game like she was good socially, but it wasn't very standout. And I don't have much to say about it because she didn't have much on her own. I don't really have much to say about Amber. Amber.
You're no good, Amber. You're just like your father.
Shut up. Okay. All right. Who's your 34?
Our 34 is Amber.
Okay.
Yeah, basically what you said. I do think she was the deserving winner out of the two. I think she had a very viable strategy, but I don't think it was her strategy. Like, it's 100%. Yeah, I feel like it's 100% a strategy to hide behind someone, make basically the same moves as them, but not take all of the heat, basically.
I also don't think it was on purpose. I think it just kind
Exactly,
of was
it
how it
wasn't on
happened.
purpose. It's a viable strategy, but she didn't mean for it to be her strategy.
Yeah, they
She
were
just
just playing
really liked
together.
being. Yeah, they were just playing together. She loved Rob. She liked Rob.
She
And that,
went from love to like.
yes, that's how marriage goes, don't you know?
Yeah.
Um, but basically, yeah, no, I 100% agree with what you said. I do believe that she should have won out the two of them. She was better socially, but that's not saying much considering Rob ruined a lot of personal friendships.
Rob was a train wreck socially.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
it annoys me when people say like he was the victim of a bitter juror.
Oh,
No
God.
juror, no jury is truly bitter. It's if you make them bitter, that is your mistake.
Oh, I think that the All Stars jury was definitely a bitter jury, but I think that was just going to happen in an All Star season when they were
Yeah,
also
because they were
like
friends.
they
But
were
I
also
think that if
famous at that point.
right, but I think if you face a bitter juror and they're angry at you, they're bitter because you have made them bitter. I don't believe that it's the fault of the jury. I believe it's the fault of the player.
Well, there doesn't always have to be fault. I think people sometimes just are bitter, and you can't always account for that. But yeah. Also, in Sheehan's AMA, she stood by her decision to vote for Amber, so Amber's obviously the more deserving winner.
Absolutely, if Sheehan says so. Then Amber was the mastermind of the season. She's now my number one.
Yes, absolutely. All right, 33. This is one where I feel like this could change if I actually rewatch the season for the first time in like a couple years. 33 I have V. Um, she was definitely the victim of being overshadowed. I don't think anybody would say that she was not largely overshadowed by. I think Kathy has the most amount of confessionals of any woman still. I don't know. I think that still holds up. But
I'll
yeah,
check.
she did play a good strategic game. She convinced Nalia to actually take her to the final two, which I think is impressive. But yeah, overall, she was a serviceable winner. But yeah, I don't have that much to say about her.
Yeah, she wasn't very well shown.
Yeah, like I think she did play a good game. It was just like it. I don't want to say it was she was docked because she overshadowed somebody better on the season, but I think that it made it so that her achievements weren't as known,
Yeah,
I guess. Although
agreed.
winning immunity at Final Four and then being immune from the rock draw was pretty great.
Yeah.
All right, so who's your 33?
My 33 is Jenna Maraska.
Okay.
Which I thought might be controversial. I'm not quite sure. The reason I have her here is because while I think she played okay, it really she was docked a lot. Well, a lot of people like this move. I don't. The move where she gave up immunity for Heidi.
Does anybody defend that as a good move?
I have seen people say like it worked out for her, so it was a good move, and I'm like, just
No,
because it worked out for it
that's
was
not how a move works.
yeah.
It could be a
I think
stupid move and it works out and it's still
she's just very lucky that Rob was loyal to her.
Yeah.
Because if Rob then thinks, oh, Jenna's now like not immune, I'm just gonna vote for her, then Jenna, bye.
Yeah.
Like it was a very silly move, and the fact that she was willing to go home for Heidi, like she even said after that round, like send me home.
Yeah.
Like I can't reward that kind of behavior. That wasn't used as strategy. She was genuinely like send me home. You
Yeah.
know. So I'm not gonna rank her very high. While I feel like she played okay, she definitely chose the right move taking Matt to the end.
Oh, that wasn't a question. Everybody was taking Matt.
Love Machete Matt.
Matt probably would have voted himself out though, if he could have.
Probably. I mean, if Sestonino wins that season, 100% he's one of the best winners we've seen.
Yeah.
So but I liked Jenna as a winner. I was happy with the season outcome. I liked Jenna.
Oh yeah.
But
absolutely.
I don't think she's a very good player. Is she playing in this 40?
No.
No. It's a shame. I would like to see her back.
Yeah. So number 32 for me, Chris Underwood. We've already gone over most of it. I was really impressed by what he did in the finale, but that was all we saw, and it was better than most. Like that small window of things we saw from him was incredible, but
Hmm.
that was still all we saw. So yeah, we've gone over Chris already at this point, so I don't think I need to go on any longer about that. All right, who's
Giving
your
up
next one?
final immunity is an amazing move
Oh yeah, like
in that
everything,
situation.
like his ability to get the idol back, which lost Evans the game.
Yeah.
Like yeah, so who's your next?
Um, 32, right?
Yeah.
Mike. My 32 is Mike.
Okay.
Um, the reason I don't have him ranked as low as you do, I don't think he deserves last. I don't think he's the worst winner of Survivor. He was in control for a lot of the early portion of the game. He made a very dumb move come merge, ended up on the bottom. I mean,
Should
this
have gotten
that
him
that
voted
au-
out.
it should have gotten better. That auction is, now infamous because of how bad of a move it was.
They don't even do
Um,
auctions anymore, I don't think.
yeah, because they were sick of everybody waiting for the advantage. It was no longer fun. Um, but I hold more stock in winning immunity than finding idols, which is why he's higher than someone like Ben, who I feel like they're very similar in a way. But yeah, like as you said, immunities happen every round of the game. It's something that's gonna happen. Idols are largely you can't predict them always.
I
Um,
mean, in recent seasons you kind of can.
in recent seasons you can, which is like I feel like we're too idol heavy now. But
I don't think that's controversial.
no, it's not controversial. But yeah,
Yeah.
I have Mike
I
at
think
that
there's a
stage.
I think there's a reason that Worlds Apart was the last time the auction's been used at all.
100%. Although I would like to see it back.
Yeah, I would too. I just make it so like they don't know which one the advantage is.
Yeah. Like, wasn't it like it was in that auction where like Will bet on the first thing because it was like a scroll and everyone was like, I want it. And it was
Yeah.
like, you're now out of the auction, go home.
Yeah. Just to have it so like everything is covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So number 31, for me this is Jenna Maraska, a lot of the same reasons. Like she played definitely a flawed game, but she was like the reason I put her above some other people that played a more flawed game was that she was likable and that she had much better ties to people. Um, but yeah, we went over most of the points already with Jenna. She's the main thing she's known
Yeah.
for is stripping, which fair enough. I like Jenna a lot actually. I think she's great, but as a winner, meh. So who's your 31?
um, my number 31, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. My 31 is B, Vesepia.
Okay.
A lot of the same reasons you said. I did like her. I mean, she was able to go back and forth between alliances. She managed to convince
Yeah.
Nelia to take her to the end. Um, she did need to win immunity. But I don't dock her too heavily for that because a lot of winners on this
Yeah,
list had to win immunity at some point
I
or
don't dog
another.
people that heavily for it.
Yeah. I find it more impressive if you don't. But there's like the majority of people on this list had to win immunity at one point or another.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like just echo a lot of what you said. She played a good game. It just wasn't a good game.
Yeah. Is that all?
Hmm.
Okay, so number 30 for me, I don't know. I feel like you're gonna be not overly happy with this one. I have Aris. Um, it's not necessarily because he was not that great or anything. he was definitely overshadowed, and he shared a lot of moves with people. He was not like he played, for all intents and purposes, a good game. And I think that's the best. I think that's the main thing I can say about him. He played a good, solid game. I don't really know what else to add. Yeah. Like,
what did you think about his choice in allies?
He allied with his tribe.
But someone specifically.
What, Suri?
Yeah.
I think he had.
They're one of the most like iconic duos.
I know. I'm saying that I said he was overshadowed.
I mean, yeah.
Largely by other people.
Suri was definitely the strategist of that duo. I really like Aris, you know that.
I think Aris was the benefactor of a very unintentional meat shield strategy.
Yeah, with Terry.
And Suri.
Yeah. Yeah, because Suri was so likable.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that Aris actually beat Suri, apparently.
He does?
Apparently.
I did not know that.
It's close, but apparently both Danielle and Terry would have voted for Aris.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you know I love Aris.
Yeah, I know you do.
EXO Island is like one of my top seasons.
Yeah. I think he's a good, serviceable winner overall. But yeah.
I was happy when he won.
Oh, I know you were. All right, who's your number 30?
My 30 is Natalie White.
Interesting.
I have a lot of respect for Natalie White. There was no way she was going to be at the very bottom. I actually consider her the beginning of the very next tier because I'm like, I've got very bottom, then mid bottom. But yeah, she is definitely someone I have a lot of respect for. I mean, she got it's very situational because she's another person who's very overshadowed by their biggest ally, who was Russell. And Russell made a lot of the moves, but I think she admitted this from very early on. She was going to let Russell do his thing, get people mad at him, and she would be right behind him, not taking any of the heat, you know? Which is a very, very viable strategy, a strategy that I respect. Because she was there with him. She knew what was happening, you know? But she got to the end, and people hated Russell. They weren't voting for Mr. Feckless, and Natalie was the person to graciously receive their votes.
Did you call him that because you can't remember his name?
I can never remember his name, you know that.
She cannot remember who Mick is for the life of her.
Mick. I always think it's Matt, and I'm like, I know it's not Matt. But the only thing that I dock Natalie for is that she was very lucky in the sense that most people weren't pro Natalie. They were just anti-Russell and anti-Mick. And that's the only thing that I really dock her for.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so is that all you have to say about Natalie?
To feel the way that they feel.
Oh.
Well, no, I was saying, like, I do think that the jury was a bit bitter towards Russell, obviously a lot, but they absolutely had every single right to be.
Saying a jury is bitter has such a negative connotation. Word. It has such a negative connotation.
Because they had every right to feel that way.
Yeah. Like saying it's bitter, like saying a jury is bitter implies that it's the jury's fault.
Exactly. When it's not. It's the person who they're angry with as well. If you have made the jury angry, you have deliberately, like, well, not deliberately, but necessarily, but you have made that person angry. That is your fault, not the person, not the juror, basically.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you have to say about Natalie?
I love her.
All right, so number 29 then?
Yep.
Number 29, I feel like this one has the possibility of floating around. I have Ethan. Ethan, I think, is one of the first real examples of, like, he wasn't too out there, although apparently the edit might have been inaccurate and he was a bit more ruthless than he came across.
Mm-hmm.
But from what we saw, he was a bit of an under the radar winner that had good jury management.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, he would have lost, definitely.
100%.
Like, I don't think I think everybody, like, knows that. I don't think that's a secret that he loses to Lex.
I think he's another person with, like, the kind of unintentional meat shield strategy.
Yeah, but I don't think... I feel like with Ethan, like, I feel like in a Final 2 season, you need to cut your meat shield earlier than that. Because Lex had already won, 3 immunities at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he should have gotten rid of him in the Final 4.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
He should have, but because he didn't want to. He was going to take him to the end.
Yeah, and that's why I rank Ethan much lower. Because, like, it was unintentional, and it was so very much like it very easily could have backfired on him.
I mean,
And
winning the game was completely out of his hands.
Yeah, and I mean, Kim winning the final 2 immunities, like, saved his ass so much.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I think I have a good opinion of Ethan, but yeah.
I'm excited to see him play again.
Yeah, I think this is around where my next tier is going to start.
Okay.
Yeah, like after Ethan. All right, who's your next?
29, we have Michelle Fitzgerald.
Okay.
I feel like she was such a hard person to rank because I originally had her a little bit higher, but then the people I put below her, I thought, no, actually, I think they are better players than her. And I felt kind of bad about it because I do think she played a good game. The only real problem I have with her game is like after merge when her allies leave, she kind of just floats around a bit. She doesn't really do much. Granted, we didn't see very much of her in the edit, which I thought was a shame. No one really expected her to win. A lot of people went into that final tribal council 100% thinking that Aubrey was winning. And I don't know if you
more
were
than
surprised.
A couple people.
Well, I mean, yeah. I was definitely surprised. I did not think Michelle had a hope in her. I thought she was getting a couple of votes. Did not think she would get enough to win. I thought Aubrey had just, But I don't feel like I saw enough of Michelle to accurately judge her.
I think I disagree with what you're saying, but I'll get to it when I get to the Michelle part.
I think
there's a couple things I disagree with, but yeah,
I don't have problems with her as a winner. I feel like she was a very deserving winner. I'm a Michelle stan. I love Winchell. I love Bishell. I love Michelle, and I was so happy when she won because it was surprising, and I love when that happens. I like walking into an FTC not knowing what's gonna happen. I love it when the votes are in, and I'm like, oh damn, what? Like. And I loved it. I really did. And I thought that she played a really solid game. The only reason that she is so low for me is because I do think that there are just people who are better than her. So excited to see her in S40, by the way. She is going to be one of the most underrated people. And I feel like she's got a really good shot of making it far.
Yeah. All right. So we on 28?
28.
All right. So 28 for me, I have Pearl Island Sandra, which this was a really, really difficult one to rank. But if we're going based on their season, she had a really good season. And this is one I don't necessarily have as strong of an opinion about, because I think she played a really solid game. And I think she was actually one of the closest to being a perfect game that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Who didn't rely on immunity wins, and just it doesn't have the strong parts about her that make other winners really special. Now it is Sandra, so she does, but just not right here.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at the seasons in a vacuum, then I feel like that's the best place to put her. But I don't feel like I need to go into why Sandra's great.
Yeah.
All right, so 28.
So I 100% agree with you about Sandra's Pearl Islands game, by the way, because that's actually where I have her ranked. Yeah, I have Sandra's per landing game at 28. She hadn't become the Sandra that we know and love yet. It was hard to distinguish the two games because, you know, she does play similarly, but she's not as out there as she is in HVV yet. She is, I mean, obviously her personality is very explosive. She's incredibly entertaining. She's easily one of the most entertaining winners that we've ever had. But she did come very close to playing a perfect game. But in terms of just like, she wasn't, she was like a little fledgling at this point, and she was already so good there. But Sandra's someone who I think is one of the best players of all time. She'd definitely be way, way up there. The problem is that um, while we see her, she has won twice, and that obviously means that she's doing something right. She had an amazing showing in Game Changers, and completely did all the things that she had to do correctly. And I feel like every incarnation we see of her, she does get so much better.
She's been bamboozled.
She's been bamboozled. But like the thing is that while she's an amazing player, her winning game for me here is just not as impressive as other people's. It's not. I'm not docking Sandra necessarily anywhere. I'm just
Her individual games by themselves are not as impressive, but put them together and you have an incredible player.
100%. Like again, we talked about putting someone in 100 seasons with a random cast. How often do they come out on top? Sandra's one of those people who I think a lot of the time does very well, and she even wins multiple times.
Yeah. All right, so 27. I don't know how you're going to feel about this one because I know that you also very much like this one. I have Adam Klein, who...
Okay.
What?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, so I love Adam. I think Adam's a great winner. So I think that Adam is... he is overshadowed, and he is also somebody that had definitely made his mistakes earlier in the game, but I feel like he definitely deserved the win that he got.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it's hard to... Adams feels very straightforward to talk about. Like he made the mistakes earlier on, like he improved on them later, and he won the game because he was very likable and he played a really good game. I don't know what else there is to add on there. Like he went to Rocks, he was willing to take risks. Like he was, it just like with the mistakes. Like the thing, like I don't rate his mistakes as bad is because they didn't ruin his game. Like Mike, and that's why I rank Mike so low, because they ruined his game.
Because Mike was in an amazing position, and he himself ruined that position he was in.
Yeah, like Adams is a little more. You could give or take whether or not he, like, it was all his fault or whether it was circumstance.
I don't think it was his fault. I mean, he was left out of the first vote that they went to with the Mario blindside.
Yeah.
It was him and I think Zeke.
I don't remember.
And I think Hannah flipped to that tribal council.
Hannah was in Hannah was in the voting booth for like 2 hours.
Exactly.
I don't remember how long it was. It was crazy.
He's little headed. But yeah, like I don't think that was necessarily Adam's fault. It was just because people thought he was close to Mario. People didn't say like we didn't trust you, whatever. It was just because you're really close to Mario. We didn't want to tell you if we didn't have to.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk more about Adam when I get to him because I have a lot of things to say about him.
Adam played a really solid game though. There's just so much competition up at this point that like there's I feel like a lot of reasons for why people are going to be where they're at is stiff competition.
Yeah.
That's
exactly 100%.
Yeah. All right. So who's your 27?
This might be again controversial. I have Danny.
Really?
Yeah, and so like this is really surprising for him because I constantly talk about how much I love Danny.
We are gonna have a field day later on.
I watched Guatemala recently. I went back and I watched all the seasons that I hadn't previously watched because obviously with me being English, we didn't have it here. I didn't grow up on it. I had to go back and watch it. And I found Guatemala to be a very interesting season that I didn't really pay attention to. It bored me a lot. And it was surprising for me to see Danny win at the end. So I went online, I looked up like stuff about her because I was like, I don't understand why she won. And then I saw these amazing things she did. I watched interviews with her saying about how she used production as a strategy a lot of the time. And I thought that was so like galaxy brain of her. So I have 150% respect for Danny Boatwright. So excited to see her in S40. I think she's either going to go kind of early or I think she's going to go really deep. I think she's one of those players who, like, it's very circumstantial with maybe if they lose tribal if they in the tribal stage they lose very early on, but that's another thing. I love Danny. Again, the only problem I have when we get to this point is there are people better than her.
Oh, we are gonna have a field day later
I'm
on.
sure you have her very, very high. My only problem is that, like, with Danny, I like to see people who are. The way we rank winners are very different. I like to see someone who is in control for a lot of the season. While I respect UTR games, I like people to actively be shown to me to be making. I hate big moves. I don't necessarily believe in big moves. I believe in subtle moves. I believe in being an active member, and we didn't see much of Danny, which is another thing I think hurts her in my rankings, is that we didn't really see her. Yeah, but I love
Okay.
Danny. She's one of my favorite players, but in terms of a winning game,
Yeah,
she goes down for me.
We're gonna have fun when we get there. All right, so 26. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, 26.
Okay, so hear me out on this one. JT.
I don't want to talk anymore.
Okay.
What?
So hear me out on this.
No.
Hear me out on. I'm not joking. Hear me out on this. JT was so heavily aided by his social game that he didn't have to do anything else.
Yes, he did.
Hardly.
Well, he didn't have to do anything else, but he did.
Not really.
Yeah, he did a lot.
I disagree.
When you come into the merge with a... Did Joe make merge?
Did who?
Joe.
Um,
The guy who got medevac for his leg. I think he might have just made merge and he wasn't on jury. But they came into the merge.
Yeah, he wasn't on jury.
Okay, yeah. I think he made merge. So if he did make merge, they came into the merge with only 4 people. Compared to, was it Timbira?
Yeah.
Yeah. With Timbira's, like, well, they had too many people, honestly. But they came down in numbers. So 3 as soon as Joe was medevaced. It was the Jalapao 3. They had to work their way in. JT
You also had a cross-tribal alliance.
JT didn't. Steven did.
I said they did.
I guess, but JT wasn't really included in that.
Yeah, that's why I don't give him the credit for that. I think he was largely carried by people throwing their game for him.
Right, but that's like an amazing thing in itself. Like, that wasn't a problem necessarily with the cast. JT was such a likable guy that people genuinely would have felt so happy if he had won.
Yeah,
JT,
but
like,
okay.
And the thing is, JT was cutthroat at times. He really was. Like,
okay,
cutting Taj at Final Four, cutting Coach. Coach had
this is my
so
ranking.
much respect for him. But I also really love the move where he doesn't vote for Coach at Final 5. I love it.
Okay, so
and
hear me out on this. How was, like, you say JT's, well, like, how impressive it was for them to come back as the Jalapao against like at the point with Aaron coming back, well, like with Aaron being on their side, it was 5v4. Like, Tyson hated Sierra. Like, it wasn't actually that hard.
Right, but like, you have to think that, like, if you're like, I don't know, Tyson is such a smart guy that, like, I feel like this was just the worst move he could have possibly ever made.
At the merge, tell me which Jalapao members got votes at the merge vote?
None.
Exactly. They were already, they did not have to come back and be the underdogs.
But they were
It
the
was just in their. It
underdogs.
was presented to them in their lap. It was right-handed to them.
But like JT is such a threat, and he wasn't in danger until final 3.
Yeah, but people were throwing their games for him. That's why I don't rank that particular winning game as high. I think JT is a good player. I don't think his winning game was that great.
But
I
he
think
was
it was
also in
good.
control for the majority of the game.
I think it was good, but not
Okay.
like higher than what I put him. That's all.
Okay.
I know we're gonna. I don't think this is gonna be the last time we disagree like that. All right, so who's your 26?
My 26 is Ethan.
Okay.
I ranked him still very close to the bottom considering. Again, he was ready to throw his game for Lex, but not outwardly so. He didn't want to get voted out, but he would have lost to Lex in the final 2. You know.
Yeah.
I also agree. Like Ethan was more ruthless than he was shown to be in the edit. I feel like he has
Justice
good
for
social.
T-Bird.
Honestly, I think he has good social awareness. He's very fit, strong guy. I do count physical game as an important part sometimes. He wasn't necessarily shown a strategical light, but he was there with Lex, who was making the strategical moves. Like I mentioned earlier, the kind of unintentional meat shield that he didn't know that he was even doing, and he wasn't planning on cutting the meat shield, so it doesn't even matter. But it did work out for him, whether or not he knew that or not. And I do also have to take into consideration that we're still in the very early stages of Survivor, where loyalty and everything is still like jammed to people's heads, rather than you should probably cut this person because they're bad for your game. We saw it in the final 2 of Australia. We saw it here where Ethan would have taken Lex and lost to him.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily make me dock that because I have to remember where we are in the terms of what season we're in, and we're still in very early stages of the game.
Yeah. All right, so 25 for me is Natalie White, who I actually have a very high opinion of. I think she is much better than she's given credit for, and I think that unlike in Tocantins, she actually had a major deficit to come back from that she actually had to try to come back from. And I think that what her efforts in coming back into the game and winning over people and making those moves and being the social link to the other tribe was much more impressive to me. I think that's a quality that is so heavily underrated that we didn't see, and that her social link to the other tribe is what drove them forward. And I think that's why I rank her so much higher. And I think that Natalie she can be an all-around really good player, which if she was on another season, I think she would be able to show herself more as a much different kind of player.
She was someone I was disappointed not to see on the S40 cast.
Same. But yeah, I have a very high opinion of her as a winner, and I think that if she ever comes back, I think she would only have a better showing. Well, I mean, not necessarily, but I don't know if she would necessarily win again. She would have a good showing in herself as a player. Like when I say like a better showing, I mean like so people can see her as a player instead of a lackey that won because of a better jury, which I think is incredibly unfair to her.
Well, no, I didn't necessarily say that.
No, I don't mean you. I mean in general.
But I do believe that a lot of the votes, I think some of the votes she picked up were because they were more anti-Russell than they were pro-Natalie.
Yeah, but that was also what she was. That was it.
Banking on. That was her strategy.
That was yeah, it was anti-Russell, but that was the point.
I know.
That was the entire point of it.
I know that. I just still feel like it's a dangerous thing to do sometimes. That you can't necessarily always predict what the jury are gonna think and feel, because then you get like winners who people absolutely hated, but they still won.
Yeah. All right. 25.
I don't know how you're gonna feel about this.
Ooh, let's hear it.
25 is Sandra's Heroes vs. Villains game,
Okay.
which, again, I love Sandra.
We've gone over Sandra as a player. Like, you
But
don't have to go into
no,
that
I
again.
know. I'm about to cut me off, little bitch.
No, I mean,
Let me talk.
okay. Please talk.
I love Sandra. She's an amazing player. We said that separately, looking at her winning games, you know, they are much lower, but put together, amazing. The only problem I have with Sandra's HPV game is that we saw her in a different light than we saw her in Pearl Islands. While she played similarly, we saw her show a little bit more of herself. You know, she can take credit for some amazing points in the game, like that coach vote is her doing, and it's hilarious.
Hey, Russell's gunning for you.
I know.
Or wait, coach is gunning for you, Russell. Oh, what? I mean, at that point, we can also give an award to Rupert. I stuck a rock in me pocket.
A rock in me pocket, yeah.
Russell's the easiest person to manipulate, let's be fair.
But, like, I also do give her a lot of credit for that because that was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was hilarious to watch. But then we also see that the fact that, and I don't necessarily dock her for this, but in terms of, like, did she get her way a lot of the time? No, she didn't. She wanted Russell gone for a long time. But I don't necessarily dock her for that. I dock the rest of the players.
Yeah,
but
because at a certain point, nobody was ever going to get rid of Russell.
Exactly. But she also had the self-awareness to know, like, you even see in the commercial, like, Russell doesn't think I'll get any votes, but I know about that. She knew that she was getting votes. When she voted out Rupert, she knew she was getting Rupert's vote at the end, regardless if
write his name down. You gonna write my name down too for $1 million?
I'm gonna write her name down. He's still gonna give me the $1 million vote.
Absolutely.
But and like she's iconic, and that whole season is amazing to watch. I love that trajectory of her winning at the end. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I know people wanted Pav to win, but I am so happy with Sandra winning that season. It shows her to be, you know, she is someone who was very much underestimated, and her that strategy from HPV has been emulated again by several other players. You know, the anyone but me kind of thing. That is something that people really like take now from her. And I would really, it's like when people said, is Sandra a game changer when she was cast a game changer? So I was like, absolutely. Like, so many people emulate that strategy that she is famous for. She perfected it. So like I have a lot of love for Sandra's HPV game. The only thing is that in terms of did she play a very dominant winning season? No, I don't think so. There's a lot of cases where she can leave, especially in the tribal stage. She was very lucky she was in an alliance. She had, you know, pre-game connections. But yeah, the only problem is that there are people who play better games than her in terms of their winning games. I don't think of her negatively at all.
Okay. 24 for me is Michelle Fitzgerald. You echoed all the same points, but the main thing I disagree on is that you thought that like nobody expected that. That is very not true.
Like, no, like I meant the audience.
Yeah, anybody paying attention, I think, could very much see a Michelle win. She was the top. Like, she was the top Edgic pick for like 75% of the season.
Right. I'm not talking about like Survivor Huckleberry. I'm talking about the general casual audience.
Okay, if you're talking about a general casual audience.
Yeah, I was talking about like obviously like I was rooting for Michelle. I thought that Aubrey might have just edged her out, but I
saw both of them having the
entire time.
I saw any of the final four but Ty having a chance to win.
I agree. Sydney was my. I really wanted Sydney to win, but I watched that season with my mum, and my mum was genuinely gobsmacked when Michelle won over Aubrey.
But
so
I
think she's a good representative of the general casual audience.
If you ever pay attention to the edit of the show, then it was not surprising.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I rank Michelle's game pretty good because I don't think she ever was in as much trouble as you were saying she was.
I didn't say she was in trouble.
I think she was actually no, I don't mean in trouble. She was just kind of floating around. I don't think that she was.
For a very small portion, she's heavily aided by the medevac. That's my big problem.
I don't think that necessarily changes the outcome as much as it might be.
I think it
I do think
changes the
it
entire outcome
I think
personally.
it I do think it changes the outcome, but also in the sense of like what if Caleb doesn't get medevaced?
No, but I think what
I
was it?
think Cambodia
Final six,
what?
the Korong medevac.
You're talking about Joe?
Joe, yeah,
Final five.
it was final five. She's heavily aided by that.
Um I think it depends on how Ty votes because I don't think Ty could have gone wherever at that point.
I suppose.
Like it's not for certain what would have happened.
I think that medevac strongly is the reason,
I think
a contributing
medevacs
factor as to
overall.
why.
I think medevacs. Like we can go on of like how or what could have happened. Like what if Caleb stayed in the game? What if he didn't get medevaced? Cambodia sucks. Like that place is
Cambodia does
awful
suck.
to play at. Like yeah, I think there's a lot of what ifs, and I don't try to harp on it unless I feel like it really was a detriment, which fair enough, I think it was a bit of a detriment, and that's why I don't rank her as high. But yeah, that's I think she played a solid game and she was a deserving winner. All right, who's your 24?
My 24 is Adam.
Okay.
I understand a lot of your points.
Why
He
were you
has
making
one of
such a fuss? I mean, he was only 27
because
for me.
I'm about to say why. Because I didn't like necessarily the way you said. Like I feel very strongly about Adam as a winner. I don't think he should have won unanimously, and I don't think he was the best player in the season. But I also, he is obviously we both play orgs. He is someone that I always try and emulate when I play Survivor because he has, and Big Brother even, because he has one of the best strategies IMO. When I play, I'm very loud, I'm very rambunctious. I
You can get loud
make
too.
I can get loud too, but like I also you've seen me play before.
Oh,
I
have I?
Yes, I play in a certain way where I can very easily be seen as a target. And so what I always try and do, like he does, I need to be good enough that I get respect at the end, but I also need 2 to 3 people in front of me who are bigger targets than me that can be taken out by either me or someone I'm allied with at the right time. I
Jeremy did it
love that
first.
strategy. Not necessarily because I don't think he'd even seen that season yet when he played. No, I
What?
don't think. Wait, no. Would he have seen Cam? No, he wouldn't have. Sorry, I forget it's 31, not 32. He wouldn't have seen Ko wrong yet.
I
But
said Jeremy.
Jeremy.
I said Jeremy did it first.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Adam wouldn't have necessarily seen that yet. But then I realized it was shown before Ko wrong, but it doesn't matter. But Adam did it in a different way because Adam wasn't necessarily a physical threat. He was threats in other ways.
Jeremy did it first. I guess Adam kind of perfected it.
Adam did perfect it, and the thing is, Jeremy had Joe. Joe was arguably his biggest meat shield.
Yeah.
Right?
Also,
Adam,
MVGX had like when it filmed Korong or Cambodia had been aired for like 4 months at that point.
okay, fair. But I think that they use meat shields in very different ways because Adams wasn't necessarily physical meat shields. He had Jay for sure, but there was also David and there was also Zeke.
Yeah.
And those are the people he used to push in front of him to kind of be like, you need to get these people out first. And Adam was seen as someone, what would take Adam out like final 6, final 5, final 4? He's in the final 3 now. And like, I think and genuinely, I know people say like Adam didn't convince Ken to take him to the final 3. I think he really did. I think he did have a big hand in it.
I think that's up in the air because Ken, who knows what he was doing.
Ken is a wild guy.
He just randomly is like loyal to a fault to David, but then just turns on him. Who knows what he does?
And I think that Adam is someone who could potentially have a very, very good time in S40.
Oh, I do too.
I think he's going to be underrated. And it's funny because he is a unanimous winner, you know?
Yeah.
Those would be the kind of people I'm like, I don't really want them around. But I think because those people in those seasons, people like Zeke, people like David, I think people are going to remember them from MVGX rather than really remember him.
Yeah. All right, so 23.
Uh-huh.
All right, so this is one I also was kind of struggling where to put this one. I got Nick Wilson, Dave versus Goliath.
Interesting.
So I think of David as, or not Nick. Not David. You're talking about MVGX. Okay, Nick. I think Nick is a solid mid-tier winner. I think that it's still a very recent season, and I think it might take another rewatch to really get a good grasp of Nick's game, because I think Nick is the kind of person, he had a really, like, he plays the kind of game that I really like and I rate high, of a good social game mixed with a good strategic game. Like if being dominant socially and then being dominant strategically in that order, I think is what that's the kind of thing that I like and I look for. So that's kind of just, I don't know, it's hard to talk about because I don't really have a good reason for why he's here, but I don't really have a good reason to put him anywhere else. This is where I felt like it would be good to have him.
Yeah, I can totally see what you have in there.
Okay, so who's your 23? I hope you have more opinions on Nick when you get there.
I do.
I really like Nick. I really do. I thought he was a great winner, and I think he was a great representation of the season.
I really do too. I love the fact that David won that season.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably why I said David instead of Nick.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. At 23, I have Aris.
What?
What?
Wait, did you not already rank Aris? I thought you did.
No, you did.
And
I talked about Aris a lot because I love him. This is the first time you made me double check. This is the first time I have ranked Aris, and it's the only time I ranked Aris. It was so hard to fight the urge to rank him higher, because I feel like when you have such a good opinion of a season in general and you really like the winner, you're like, I want to rate him higher. But I did just rank, I hope, purely on gameplay. Aris was someone who took a very good position on his tribe, the Kasaya tribe. He was very close with Suri. He was there with Suri making the move. Suri had the strategic mind, but again, I think he's someone with the unintentional meat shield strategy with Terry and Suri. I think that he took on the role of being like the leader of that camp. I think he did it very well. No one was really targeting him because people were so focused on like Terry.
All these normie opinions.
Oh, shut up.
Sorry. Keep going.
I think he is a very, very good winner. He does have certain things that you do have to look at and think, like taking Suri to the end is a very like, kind of thing.
Not throwing your game for Shane Powers.
I know, right? Everyone should have done that.
I wish they did. I would have made Panama my favorite season.
I think that Aris is just a very, very solid winner. I can't really say this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, because I think that he played a very, very solid game. I think he is. And I was so excited to see him back for Blood vs. Water. Devastated he's not banned for S40. I was so sure he was gonna be a lock. I was so sure.
Friggin' Vetus, man.
It is. It probably is Vetus. I don't know. I know Jeff doesn't like Vetus.
Yeah.
So maybe it is. But I feel
it's
like
a
Aris
family
would
ban.
still come back. Listen, Aris didn't like Vetus for half his life, but he would probably be like, yeah, I'll come back. I don't care.
Yeah.
Love Aris. Love him as a winner. Yeah.
All right, so
22. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22.
All right, so 22. I have Amber Lacina. Oh wait, so Sarah Burkich. Wait, okay. Sarah Lacina.
I don't even understand that joke.
Sarah is very much like Amber to me.
Really?
Yes. I think
Okay.
she played
American
what
explain.
Amber Sarah winning Game Changers is the kind of game that if Amber was a better player.
Okay.
Because while I think Sarah played a very good game in Game Changers, a lot of it was because of like the bigger threats cannibalizing themselves, very similar to Amber. And by the point that she started to be a target, she had things pretty much all locked up at that point.
Okay.
Like, don't get me wrong, I think she played a great game. Although I wish Brad Culpepper won, but
Good mood.
like she played a really good game, but by the time that the big threats all stopped cannibalizing themselves and like when it actually started going forward, she pretty much had already cemented like she had everything pretty much locked up. Legacy advantage, like getting to the final three. I think that was I rate it lower in that regard, and it's not really her fault. It's kind of the season's fault. But yeah.
Right.
All right. So 21 or 22, 22.
My 22, you're gonna hate. I know you're gonna be so angry at me.
Okay.
It's Tina.
Uh, all right. Newly single and ready to mingle.
um.
Oh my God. Really?
So
Really?
yeah. Tina is 22 for me.
Really?
This was really difficult for me. Tina was someone I originally had very, very high. And then as I kept thinking of new people, she just gradually fell down the list. Because I kept
Oh
thinking,
my
because
God.
when I was ranking, I kept saying, is this person a better player?
Oh
Yes.
my
And then
God.
I would put them above her. And it was really difficult because, again, I love Tina. Almost two-time winner Tina. People forget that. Um,
I don't even know you anymore.
there's nothing I can say bad about Tina's game. I think people did it better. That's all I have to say. I
I
love Tina's
just
game. I loved Australia. I loved her winning. I was a Colby stan, but I was also a Tina stan. Um, the only problem is that every single person above her, I said to myself, who played a better winning game? And those were the people I put above her. I have nothing to say that's bad about her. I just think that people played better.
all right. Well, I'm newly single.
I'm
I
done.
don't date people with bad opinions like that. Sorry, Louise. But get better opinions. Oh my God. That is surprising. All right, so I guess number 21. I have Sandra's HVP game. We've gone over Sandra like 10 times at this point. I don't feel like I have much to add. Um, I think she played a very good game. She was very self-aware. She played very strong social games. She played very aggressively, not aggressively at the right times. I think that overall very solid game. I don't have much to add. We've talked about Sandra so many times. All right, 21 for
I
you.
mean, yeah. 21 for me, again, please don't hate me.
Oh
I
my
know that this is
God.
one of your personal favorites. I have Sophie. Are you still there?
I wish I wasn't.
So again, this is just something where like I was like, okay, she played an amazing winning game. Please remember at this point, I believe that they are in the top half of my winners.
Yeah, but how
It
could
just
you still do that to her?
it just got to the point where I was like, did they play a better game? I think so, and I ranked that person above her. She was also someone who was heavily moved. I think she's very similar to the person I have next on my list. I also think she's very similar in ways to Tina. And I ranked these these three people together, and I didn't want to move them too far apart. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I wish you would have told me these things like a year ago when we started dating.
But like the thing is, like I really like Sophie as a winner. I promise I'm not being bitter because I'm an Aussie stan.
I think you are.
I do.
All right, next.
Aussie.
All right, I'm assuming next up is Yule. I'm assuming. You friggin' Aussie lover.
No.
All right, so number 20, I have Tony.
Wow.
So Tony is a madman. He's one of my favorite players that's ever played the game, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But Tony is a right madman. And I think he played a great game, but I think that the thing that holds him back mainly is the fact that I don't think that could be replicated. I think he is very adaptable, but if I'm just looking at his Kageyaan game, I don't feel like that's something that could be done again, and if so, not very easily. Very few casts could do that, or could have that be done.
So that's why we're ranking differently. How we're ranking differently.
Yeah. I think Tony is a great winner.
Yeah, I am only ranking the winning game that they played.
Yeah. Also, we're not in the top half of the list yet. This is only number 20. You monster.
Wait, I'm confused.
You said we're in the top half of the list for Sophie. We're not.
I'm bad at maths, you know I am.
Don't even have Sophie in the top half. What's wrong with you?
Sorry.
It's okay.
But I think you're, apart from like one or two people, I think you're gonna like everybody have in the top half.
Okay. Let's continue then. Who's your number 20?
You know this pains me to do. You know
JT.
this. No. You know this hurts me to do.
Denise?
She is my favorite winner.
Denise?
Denise. Because she made a mistake that I can't really. I can't forgive it. I can't not forgive it. I do forgive her. I forgive her anything she does. She could kill me and I'd say thank you. But like, I can't justify it. She was gonna take Malcolm to the final three. I can't justify that. She would have lost. She was? Yeah, she was. The only reason she didn't is because Malcolm played really badly at the final 5 and 4. Was because he basically said, "There's no way I'm taking Denise," because he was rightfully so in his head, like Denise might win, but against Lisa and Scoopin I can win. Yeah, is it like confirmed whether or not Malcolm would? Denise said it in her confessional in the finale. She said, "Malcolm, I was taking you to final 3, but you've made a mistake. Now I got to vote you out." Because she wanted to go to Fire. Who would she have taken with her, Lisa or Scoopin? Scoopin had immunity. Oh, right. She wanted Malcolm and herself to vote for Lisa, and Lisa and Scoopin would have voted for Malcolm. Do you think Scoopin would have been like, "Oh man, I double win at this point"? Oh yeah, absolutely. God, imagine a world where Scoopin wins Philippines. That's not. I don't think it's ever justifiable that he wins. Yeah, so like we'd have to rank in a hierarchy, a pyramid, as you might say. But like, I love Denise. I love Philippines. Philippines is my favorite season of Survivor. Yeah. Even when I go back to watch it now, it still holds the same magic I love. Yeah. I think everything about it is amazing. I respect Denise so much. She has went to every tribal council, and like, yeah. And I have so much respect for her. But I look at the people I've put above her, and I think, yeah, they played better. Fair. But as a player, I think she's better. As a winning game, again another woman I'm excited to see back for S40. Yeah. Oh, actually, I forgot somebody. My number 38 is Denise Stapley. Shut up. Okay. All right. Yeah. So number 19. Yep. This one's gonna hurt me.
Uh, if I was ranking based on who my personal favorite winners would be, they would probably be number one. But number 19, I I don't want to say it out loud. I feel
Is it
dirty.
Chris?
It's Chris from
I had a
Vanuatu.
feeling. I had a feeling.
Chris is one of my favorite winners,
Uh-huh.
probably top two. He played an absolutely nuts game that I know a lot of people would dock, but I actually give him points for how he was able to, like, I give people, like, I give some people, like, I dock some people for mistakes they made, but like Chris in the first round, he got a vote against him, or he got, I don't remember how many votes he got against him, but he got like he's the only winner to ever have votes in the first tribal council of the game. I think he got like 3 votes against him.
He was in danger as well, just in general.
Yeah, but that was the only time I think he was ever in danger. That's the only time I think he actually got votes. And like watching Vanuatu, like it feels like Chris shouldn't be so high, but seeing how well he plays the women is like insane. Like Chris had such a good relationship with like every woman that they decided to go after themselves before going after him. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Like that's not something that should happen. And I don't think it's because the women were bad players. They definitely weren't.
Chris IMO is one of the least likely winners.
Yeah, but I think it makes total sense, and I think he did amazing to do it.
100%.
The only reason why he's not higher is stiff competition, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah. We'll talk more about it when you have Chris. I don't know where you have him, but yeah. Okay, number 19?
Number 19, I have Nick from David vs. Goliath.
Okay.
Nick is someone who I think fits the mold of just like very good winner.
Yeah.
He has everything that you really want. He's a good fit, like physical guy, but his social game was so on point. And he did something that I really, really love. And like if I play Survivor, I'm taking it. Even if you're only aligned with one person, give that thing a name. Make it as official as you can.
Oh yeah.
And I love that. Like he had tons of like the Mason Dixon line, the rock stars. Like he had like he was naming everything.
That's such a big brother strategy.
It is such a big brother strategy.
But it works.
I mean, Johnny Mac filed copyright. I mean, come on. But yeah, like he played such a good game. Have complete respect for him. One of my favorite moves in the entire game is the idol nullifier. What was his name? Is it Dan? Who leaves? Oh, I can't remember his name. The former fatty.
It might have been Dan.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moves, and he was obviously a big part of that. David vs. Goliath is one of my favorite seasons. Love him as a winner. Thought it was amazing. And while I loved the runner-up, I loved Mike. He was probably my favorite character. Nick winning just made total sense to me. I adored it.
Yeah, I don't remember all of the thing with the idol nullifier. It wasn't.
We should rewatch that round. It wasn't Nick's. It was
Carl's.
Yeah, but he was part of the plan.
Yeah. David vs. Goliath is a hard season to rank because I feel like most people in the top, like, God, in the final, like, 8, I think, like, like Gabby, Christian, Davey, all of them would have been great. Allison and Kara were all right. Angelina
was trash, and I loved her.
Mike had a healthy dosage of THC. I love him.
I love him.
Yeah, David vs. Goliath had such a good cast.
It did. I love David vs. Goliath. It's one of my favorite recent seasons.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I totally agree. I placed better than Nick on main org.
Where did he come?
I think he got 7th or 8th.
I beat him. I think I came 6th.
Yeah, I don't remember what play as many he had, but I know that I made Final Tribal, so I beat him automatically. Yeah.
I think I came 6th, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick is great. Nick's awesome.
100%.
All right. Number 18. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this one. I put Cochrane.
Oh god.
Cochrane had a really strong game. Like I don't have much to say that's unique about him.
I'm gonna be talking a lot about him.
Yeah, like I think I'll leave it to you, and we'll talk more about it when you get to him, because I know you have much stronger feelings about Cochrane.
Right.
I feel that he.
I think you would agree with me here. Stiff competition.
Oh yeah, stiff competition.
You can't really fault his game.
Oh, I can't fault his game. I think it's just a sense of like. I think it's mostly the cast at that point.
Yeah, he got very lucky with the fans.
Yeah, like it's not that he played a bad game. If anything, I think that it's hard to find that many flaws in his game.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I do rate the competition. But like, what competition do they have? I rate that more so. And also, because I do factor in a bit of like who they like, how they are as a player, and his SOPA performance was woof.
He is easily, like, looking for a returning player, he has got one of the most amazing. Yeah, he's got one of the most amazing improvements.
Yeah. All right, so who's your 18?
My 18 is Chris from Vanuatu.
Okay.
I ranked him around the same. It is an amazing game to watch. Vanuatu is one of my favorite seasons.
Same. I watched the finale. I watched the last couple episodes with you together, with the first time you ever watched it, and I was
exactly.
It's so good. Please watch Vanuatu again.
Yes, Vanuatu is a season that I just really, really adored. It has so many comedic moments, and most of them are from Chris. Chris is such a great character. So I'm really sad that we're probably not going to see again.
Chris, please kiss and make up.
He was so close to being on BBW, but he wasn't.
There were so many people close to being on that season.
BBW, yeah. But Chris, yeah, I couldn't have put any better. One of the least likely winners you would ever think of. Did it amazingly. Did it with style.
Well, like the thing that makes it so much. Well, like I hate to dwell on JT, but the thing that makes it like. Whereas the impression I get is that JT didn't have to try as hard. Chris, I feel really did, and I feel like he did it just so much better, in my opinion. Yeah, Chris went to work, and people were not throwing their game for Chris. He genuinely made them think it was a better move to keep him in, which was not a thing for JT, who had people openly throwing their games for him.
We'll get to JT when we get to JT.
Oh, I've already been to JT. Where are you at?
We still have a while to go to get to JT.
Yeah. Okay, so 17. I know you're gonna hate this pick, but I put Brian.
Okay, I understand why you would.
So, I will absolutely give him respect as a player, not as a person. He's a disgusting person. I hope he rots. I give him respect as a player who played a really good game. He won in a 4-3 vote versus the biggest GOAT, probably of all time.
Right.
Like, he played a very straightforward game that honestly could be replicated by like anybody else. And I think he did it, but like he did it what was necessary, and he did it well, but he didn't like Brian's social game is not end sentence.
Yes, it is not.
Just
I mean,
I don't have a super high.
Xian's name after being with her for how many days?
Yeah, it's
not a particularly hard name either.
As a player, he's good. Like, I would say he played a really good game, but I don't think as a winner he played a good winning game, because I feel like that's just of how at least of how I rank winners, because I don't rank winners high that are like him, and I only rank him high because I have to give that kind of respect to him as
Yeah,
a player.
understood.
All right,
So
so
17 for me. Um, you while you agree with the placement, I think you might be surprised that I put him here. I put Cochrane at 17 because I 100% agree with what you said. Um, played an amazing game, played a perfect game. Um, could have even been more perfect, but he voted wrong on the Philip Line side. And there's nothing that you said that I can't say. He isn't as high because stiff competition.
yeah,
I think there were just people who played their winning game a little bit better.
yeah, like what I know from you is your opinions on specifically like Dawn.
I love Dawn. I feel like Dawn would have been an amazing winner.
Yeah,
Um, screwed out of the fact that, and I know people are gonna be like, but the fact that she was a woman did not help because people were expecting things from her. Being the older woman, people expected her to be a motherly figure. I know Brenda was extremely burned, but like that was no worse than what Brenda did to Audrey.
yeah,
You know, like it was a case I kind of felt for some people like you can dish it but you can't take it because you expected Dawn to be this. You had this thing of Dawn in your. I don't. We're not talking about Dawn. We're talking about Cochrane. Cochrane and Dawn played very similar games. Um, Cochrane had the social likability that Dawn didn't.
yeah,
Cochrane was very well liked on that
yeah.
season. He won immunity when he needed to, although I don't think he necessarily even needed it. I don't know if Cochrane does go at that final four. It's very possible it goes to fire making. I don't see Dawn voting him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a mistake on my list, so can you do your next one while I fix it?
You made a mistake. I told you to check it. What did you
I
do?
thought I accidentally put Cochrane twice.
Oh, he's so good. I'll go straight to 16 then.
Yeah.
My 16 is, I don't know how you're gonna feel about it, Richard Hatch.
Okay.
Um, a lot of people give him credit for making the first alliance. He was involved. I don't think he necessarily made it. But he is the whole reason why Survivor is what it is now. He was the blueprint for how to play a good strategical game. He was cutthroat when he needed to be, although he didn't really need to be. The idea of intentionally throwing final immunity is one that we even saw replicated in Big Brother by Mike Boogie.
Yeah.
You know, he even now is still referenced to this day. He is such an iconic winner. We do have a couple of flaws here and there, but it's the first season of Survivor, so I don't really necessarily dock him for any of that. You know, it was still very much finding its footing. Um, he almost lost. He didn't. He almost lost, but yeah, I don't think there's necessarily anything bad I can say about his game here. It's just again because he played the very first season, there are people who saw what he did and made it better.
Fair.
If we saw Richard Hatch play for the first time nowadays, in his body of back then, not him now because he is very much older and a little bit out of shape. But I
Yeah.
feel like if we saw him again, he would still have a very good shot. But integrated himself very well in that tribe.
Yeah. Also, I found out what was wrong, so I'm going to fix that. Yeah. Okay. So my number 16, I have Jeremy.
Okay.
Um, I think I don't. Jeremy is somebody that like it's very self-explanatory why they're a really good, like why their winning game was really good. He was
I
really
mean,
good
just watch
socially.
If you watch
Yeah,
Cambodia,
just
you know.
Watch Cambodia. That's yeah. He is a really good player. He had really like he was very ballsy in his decision to save Steven.
I liked it though.
I did too. Yeah, he set himself up really well. He just played an overall really solid game. That's I don't know what else to say. He just played a really solid game.
Love Jeremy.
Yeah,
Excited to see him back.
The only thing I could say is that, I mean, having Wentworth at Final Four,
bit of a mistake.
A little bit, yeah. That's really the only. If I had to pick a flaw, that's really it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. So getting back on track, my number 15. I don't know if you would agree with this. Parvati or Micronesia.
Okay.
So overall, I would say Parvati played an amazing game. The one thing that makes me rate her lower was the surprise final two, where she would have lost.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that makes me rate her lower.
I mean, arguably, she loses to anyone but Amanda in the final five.
Yeah, which is like what with what happened, it worked out for her, and she played amazing. But if it was a final three like a normal season, I don't think she would have won.
Right.
So like,
it's debatable for a lot of people, I think.
Not for Cirie.
Well, a lot of people say that Cirie would have lost.
I don't know.
Although I really hope that wouldn't have been the case.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But still, like, it's very. That's the one thing that's holding me back from actually putting her higher.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Okay. Yeah, like, I don't think I have to go on about how she played really well. Like, she played an amazing game. Like, her decision making, like her ability to like control an alliance, her ability to like her. I am really impressed with how she played around the idol and not bringing it back to camp. I think that it's a very underrated move.
100%.
Yeah, because like they would have wanted to check her, and it would have just been too.
Yeah, she would have been made to strike.
It would have been very. It's a very underrated move, and I don't think that's something that could be done. Well, like, not many people would have the restraint to that, and I give that respect. It's just the surprise final two that gives me that's where my hesitation comes in. All right, who's your number 15?
Don't hate me. Sarah Lacino.
Okay. I mean, I can see why. It's just I don't have the same opinion.
You know, I'm not particularly fond of Sarah Lacino. I don't think she should have even really been on the cast for that season.
Game changes you.
It does. I mean, she changed the game by being blindsided.
She changed the game by being the first ever merge boot of season 28.
I'm not playing the game like a cop. I want to play like a criminal. With that voice. But yeah, like I have complete respect for the game she played. The only thing I really dock her for why she isn't higher is because people didn't want to vote for her at the end. They did it because out of I feel like she was very much influenced by the fact that it was an all-star game and people wanted to vote like based on gameplay only.
Haley Ford was there.
Haley Ford was there, which actually I'm glad she
game.
was because I really enjoyed her in that game. But
yeah, but like all-star game.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, people come back and they want to be like, oh, I respect the game and I'm going to play like a game bot, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I feel like one of the best moves we've ever seen is, like, getting Sierra to give her the legacy advantage.
Oh, yeah, I give her props for that. That's why I don't rate her lower.
Cirie the advantage that she can't even use to test her loyalty.
I don't like that move.
I mean, it's debatable about whether or not it even worked, but it was a good concept, I think.
The concept was there. I don't think it even. I don't think it was. I don't think it worked out for her. I think it was anything probably a detriment.
But it's like, and I know people are going to hate me for this, JT's letter writing with the idol to Russell, I think that worked out awfully. I think it's a great concept.
I don't think that ever happened. You ever seen a pen on Survivor?
This is the first time we've seen a pencil on Survivor. But
God
yeah,
damn it, Rob.
that's where I have Sarah Lucina. I think she fits okay there. I didn't want to put her anywhere near the top 10, but I think she deserves to be in the top 20. So number 15 is where I put her.
Yeah. So at 14, this is one I wasn't sure about where to put, but I think I have him at a good spot. Wendell.
Right, from Ghost Island.
Has there been another?
Has been 7.
Wendell's?
Wendell the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and then Wendell from Ghost Island.
Okay. Yeah, Wendell, I don't think it's recency bias because, I mean, it's been a few seasons at this point. You could look at it as being overshadowed, like Dom and Wendell overshadowing each other, but I think that, like, I didn't know who was going to, well, like, I knew what the final 3 was because, like, I didn't watch Ghost Island as it aired, but I knew the final 3 and I knew the circumstance. I knew it was a tie, but I didn't know anything else. I didn't know who would win. And watching the game, I was like, Wendell, well, like, I didn't know who would win, but that, like, I didn't know who the third of the final 3 was, actually. But seeing, like, going through and seeing how well Wendell managed that relationship, I was like, I think Wendell's going to win.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like Wendell was, and he played a really strong game. Like, he played actually a really great game. The only flaw I could say is I don't think he had as much control over Laurel as people think. And
I think Laurel is a bit underrated.
Oh, Laurel is super underrated. I think she would have been. I think any of those final 3 would have been a good winner. Like, I think Laurel, but like, it was in a lot of times in her best interest to do it, and I think that Wendell had a big part in setting it up that way. And I do rate Wendell very highly as a winner. But yeah, the only thing is,
I think even if Dominic had won, he'd be very similarly ranked too.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree.
I think that they were probably one of the most impressive final 3s we've ever seen because of those 2 specifically.
Sure.
And I've never seen probably a duo more deserving of a tie. If they could be co-winners.
Ozzy and Yul.
Okay, fair, but Ozzy should have won.
Shut up.
If Ozzy had won Cook Islands, he'd be number 1.
Shut up.
Listen, as the world's only Aussie stan, I have to do something.
I'm an Aussie stan.
Okay, but like a lot of people just don't like him.
God. All right, you're 14?
14 is Parvati.
Okay.
For all the reasons you said.
Okay.
I don't really have anything else to add. You said it all, took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay.
I love Micronesia.
Yeah. Why don't we bring back chat? Come on.
Every single time I play an Olga, they're like, what Survivor contestant are you most like? I say chat from Micronesia.
You know who I always say, but yeah. All right, so 13 is Miss Denise Stapley. You said most of what I had to say. I didn't know that she was going to take Malcolm to the end. I still think she wins. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think so.
It's up in the air.
I think like Abby and Pete both switched their votes to Malcolm.
I don't think it's safe to say what Abby was going to do.
True, but she didn't like Denise.
She didn't like Malcolm.
She liked Malcolm better than Denise.
I guess. I don't know. I think it would have been closer, but I think the way it worked out, I think Denise played a great game.
I do too.
Like, what she did is, I think it's more impressive than winning unanimously.
I agree. Going to every single tribal council.
Yeah.
And knowing what was happening as well.
Yeah, she wasn't even like the underdog was the crazy thing.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like she wasn't on the bottom
No, right.
much.
I mean,
She was for
she
like a
was
round
able
or
to
two.
really, yeah, she was able to really integrate herself into the Caliban tribe.
Yeah, and then
So
at the
like when they
merge,
lost
Michael
again,
Scoop. Then at the merge, taking advantage of Michael Scoop and being like, "I'm gonna win," and then
yeah,
everyone else being like, "Haha, no, you're not." Can Lisa just be like the official runner-up of that season?
she deserves it.
She does.
I would have been happy with Lisa winning.
Yeah. All right. Who's your 13?
My 13, ironically, is Wendell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're kind of getting onto the same page here a bit.
Oh, I don't think we're gonna be after
No, I
a
think
few.
this is all about to change, I think, for me as well. Um, again, everything you said about Wendell, we said it. An amazing winner. Excited to see him back for S40. Don't know if he'll do particularly well, though, because I think he might be a victim of recency bias, because I think people will be like, yo, did you see Ghost? Because it's just far enough removed that people, like,
Do you think Nick would be at fault of that?
I think Nick is in a better position than Wendell. I think Nick
Because
isn't
Wendell
seen as,
dominated airtime so much.
yeah, and I think Nick is seen as less of a threat. I think what really helps, even though Wendell only won by one vote and it was a tie, I feel like Nick winning in the way that he did is less threatening than Wendell, because Wendell was with Dominic, but Wendell was completely dominating from start to finish. Nick had, stages where he wasn't as in control as, I mean, he had a pretty good grasp at everything, but he was never really like the leader, you know.
Yeah.
There were bigger threats than Nick. Wendell was always Wendell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Okay. Um, number 12. I have Yule.
Okay.
What?
No, I
I
just didn't expect that from you. I thought Yule was one of your faves.
He is one of my favorites. Stiff competition.
True.
So, Yule obviously was helped out by his idol, but
Uh-huh.
people forget how well he actually played the idol. He didn't just have it in his back
100%.
pocket. He did not just have it in his back pocket.
He used that as a
He
bargaining chip.
Yeah, like he used the idol more creatively than I think I've ever seen an idol be used.
Way better than Dietz did.
Oh yeah, like he just had it in case he needed it. Yule used
Mm-hmm.
it as a bargaining chip, even when he was on the bottom.
Look at the way he flipped Penna when they
Yeah,
merged. And he didn't even need to.
like the idol could be flushed out. Like he had a good enough social game to where his allies wouldn't flip on him. And
Yeah.
they could have flushed his idol so easily because, I mean, all you need is a split vote. It's
Yeah.
not actually that hard to get the idol out.
Cowboy
Like,
knew.
yeah, like the god idol is not all powerful. It saves you once and it can be taken by a split vote. But he
Uh-huh.
used it so well, and Yule is one of the smartest winners, I believe. I do think that the only reason he's not a little bit higher is because of the cast. Well, not the cast, like the twists helping him out a bit, which I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think he loses the season if some things don't go the exact way that they did, but I think that he's definitely it's not as easy. And also his decision to actually cut Penner, like his decision
One
to
in the
cut
game.
Penner
It won in the
won in the
game.
game because
Because
Adam wouldn't have voted for. Yeah.
Adam would have voted for Ozzy, but he said, "You have my vote if you get rid
Yeah.
of Penna."
Yeah, and it was it was an amazing. He played an amazing game.
He did.
Yeah. All right, so who's your number 12?
I don't know how you're gonna feel about this.
Okay.
12 for me is Earl Cole.
Okay.
I originally had him at number 4,
Okay.
and every single time because obviously I went chronologically,
Yeah.
and I thought that would be a good spot for him to be because I respect him so much as a winner. And then as I got to other seasons, I found myself pushing him down, and this is where he fell. Um, I don't know how I feel about it. I almost feel like I should have switched him with my number 11. But I have him at 12. I said that I'd finalized it, so it's whatever. I love Earl. He played an amazing game. He was very dominating. His alliance with Yao Man was perfect. I loved it.
I'll give
Certain
more of
things
my
helped
thoughts.
him out. Certain things helped him out. Some things, happened that definitely, I think, influenced the game, and I'm sure you'll talk about them. So, because I don't want to dwell, because I don't want this to be super long.
Yeah.
But I have so much respect for Earl. The only reason he's here is because I think other people played better.
Yeah. I'll give my thoughts on Earl at the time.
I fully believe you'll have him like top 5, maybe top 3.
We'll see when we get there. My number 11, I got my man Richard Hatch.
Okay.
So I don't think that like he is just the guy that made an alliance. I think he's one of the smartest players.
100%.
Like I think that he was very ahead of his time.
Mhm.
I think that Richard he's somebody that I feel like could come back at any point, and I feel like he would still be a good player.
I do too. I said the only thing, like I agree with you. I said the only thing that might let him down is his physique. I
He
don't know if
lost
he'd be
weight.
able to. He did, but he's also a lot older now, and he's not in the tribal stage of the competition. I wonder if he would struggle. But he's
I
also a
guess.
very strong man, so it's
He is
very
very
debatable.
strong. He's not even 60.
He's not. He's not him. He's a good provider. It's just that's the only thing that I would worry about.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. So, also, do you know about the rumor where Probst judged a competition wrong in All Stars?
Mm-mm.
That he was I don't know how true it was. I think Probst said it himself, but I don't know of all of the validity of it. But like he judged a competition wrong, the one that Richard left in All Stars in, and that Colby should have like beaten Rob in that challenge.
Okay.
So yeah, I just think that's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So who's your number 11? What you got, baby?
I don't really want to dwell on this. I have Brian. I think he played one of the best games that we've seen. I feel like Clay was the first like proper GOAT. Again, dominating game, amazing cutthroat, ruthless game. Don't like him as a person, but he won, and this is where I ranked him.
Okay. Well, I don't like Brian. So let's get to the top 10.
Exactly.
This is somebody I know that you're going to disagree with. This is somebody I feel like you're going to have either number 1 or 2. I put Kim at number 10.
Okay.
Solely due to the cast. In the sense of I feel like what she did is not unique to her and could be replicated.
Okay.
By anybody that's even decent. I feel like she did it really well, but I feel like that outcome could be achieved by a number of people. It's just that she overperformed there in that regard. I do think she's a really impressive winner, and I'm very much looking to eat my words in S40.
Honestly, I feel like Kim has big 210 winner potential.
I think a lot of people do, but I think Kim is somebody that she's like such a big threat openly or outwardly that I don't know. She could just like Parvati the entire game. All right, so who's your number 10?
My number 10 is Todd.
Okay.
It was a struggle to figure out where to put him, but I'm very confident that he is a top 10 player, top 10 winner. Played a very dominant game in China. Him and Amanda played almost flawlessly. Um, I love the James Blind side. He could have very easily gone home in that vote if, you know,
Yeah.
people weren't silly. But he didn't. He survived. He played better than Amanda, IMO, although people might have liked Amanda more. I think he played better than Amanda. Got to Final Tribal Council. He easily, in my opinion, has the best Final Tribal Council performance of anyone ever.
I think Nick had a really good one.
I think this is not on the level of Todd. I implore you to go and rewatch China's Final Tribal Council because you can see him winning votes.
But
Anyway,
he was really, really good.
he was really good.
We'll
An amazing
talk.
strategist.
Yeah.
People liked him socially. One of the most amazing players we've ever seen. I really would have loved him back, but I understand why not.
Yeah, we can. We'll talk about him a little more when we get to him, or when I get to him. All right, number 9, another one I feel like you're gonna disagree with. Number 9, I got my man Massachusetts Robert.
Okay.
Honestly, for the same reasons as Kim. I feel like Rob, if I was basing it with other seasons in mind, I think I would actually rank him higher. But I feel like, because I know Rob can do more than what he was shown in Redemption Island. And again, I feel like he overperformed like a lot. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows Rob's Redemption Island game. It was so dominant. He had the buddy system. He had, like, he steamrolled the game. He had an alliance where only, like, Andrea put up a fight against him at any point.
Jerk.
Yeah. But yeah, it's... Rob had the most loyal subjects, and I can't really fault him for that, but it doesn't really put him into my top.
Right.
But I think he's a really good player. Okay, who's your number 9?
My number 9 is JT, who I love.
Really?
I told you I'd come back to him. You probably expected I have him higher.
I did, honestly.
I am confident that the people I put ahead of him are better than him. I'm
confident too.
I do agree to some extent that he had a lot going for him in terms of the cast just loved him. But I don't think it's fair to say that he didn't have to try because he did. You see him with Steven a lot, figuring out what they have to do.
Do you think? Let me ask you something. Do you think that if he doesn't try like that, do you think the outcome even changes?
I do. I do think the outcome changes.
You see, I don't.
See, like, because you forget that JT and Fishback are the people that orchestrate the Tyson blind side. People didn't really want Tyson out. It was Fishback and JT that wanted Tyson out because that was
but he could have let Fishback. He could have let Fishback do that, and it would have been the exact same.
No, I think Fishback needs JT to get people on their side.
I mean, he could just say, "Yeah, let's do it."
No, but JT is very charismatic. People are drawn to him. We've seen that in almost every season that he's played. In Heroes vs. Villains, the Heroes Tribe were drawn to him. He was taken out at where he was because he was the leader of the heroes, kind of.
I don't think JT's a bad player. I just think that his winning game was not the greatest in retrospect.
I mean, he was the first perfect game that we had ever seen, and it was so easy for him not to be. And you said it's like people were throwing his game for him. People were actively people were also trying to actively get him out. Tyson didn't want JT to win. He wanted to win, but he knew that aligning with JT would have got him a little bit further. JT just got rid of Tyson before Tyson got rid of JT. Steven always planned to cut him at Final 4, but couldn't. So he tried to get him out of Final 3 and also couldn't. It's a very different story if Fishback gets his way. It's a very different story if Erin gets her way. Taj didn't want to take JT to Final 2 either. She wanted to get rid of him at Final 3. It just worked the way it did. The perfect place to get rid of JT is either Final 4 and Final 3, but no one could do it because he put in the work, and I have huge respect for that.
Counterpoint. Bing bong. You're so wrong.
Shut up.
I
JT is
know why you would. I know why
the
you
most
would think that.
aesthetically perfect game we've ever seen.
There's only been 2.
Yeah, him and
To be
Cochrane, and he played
fair.
better. But I'm saying, like, even aesthetically, like, from the outside looking in, JT played, like, the most pretty game you've ever seen.
I know you think he's beautiful, but come on.
I actually don't. I think he's only island hot. He's ugly every other time I've seen him. But in H3V and, like, Tokenshiens, when he's got that little beard going on, he's wearing the buff, hell yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have our top 8.
I wonder who you'll have.
Well, my number 8. Take any guess. Who do you think it is?
Your number 8?
Yeah. I don't think you're going to be right.
I know who I have as my number 8.
Well,
do you know what would be funny? Do you want to 3, 2, 1 it and see how
right.
different we are?
Okay. All right, yeah, because it's nobody that you've had yet.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Tyson.
Tyson.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. The only real flaw I can give to Tyson's game is not playing as idle at Final Six, but I get why he
didn't have to go to Rocks.
Yeah, but he was still like in a advantageous position. It was still like I still think it would have worked out the same because if he didn't play, like he could have played the idol next time and he probably could have won out.
But the only problem is that it is just a game of chance at that point. You should never let your game be decided by a rock.
Yeah, but at the same time,
unless it's less, like I understand, like sometimes you do have to go to rocks because if you don't, you're screwed in the game and you're gonna go home the next round. I understand that.
Yeah.
Tyson wasn't in that position. If he plays his idol, Hayden probably goes home, and then he could probably win immunity against Katie and Sierra.
Yeah, like it's. That's the only real flaw I can say in Tyson's game. Other than that, he played phenomenally.
100%, I agree.
And Tyson's the player I put down as who I feel like I'm like, not really in terms of gameplay, but just in terms of like, I want to be like him.
Yeah.
Like whenever I play a game, I'm just like, I don't try to force myself to be like Tyson. It's just if he feels natural, that kind of snark. If Tyson does not show up very much in the early parts of S40, that's a really, really good sign.
Yeah, I think Tyson's one of those people that could go either way. He's very lucky that there are quite a few physical threats on this season.
Yeah.
You do have Jeremy, you have Yul, you have Wendell, Nick, Tony. You do have, and on the women as well, you've got Kim.
Yeah.
You've got Sarah Lucino is capable, very capable. Denise is very capable. Sophie is very capable.
I'm really hoping to see another Tyson injury.
That would be funny, but I feel like people would cotton on.
Oh yeah, they absolutely would have. I don't think he can do that again. God,
no,
Tyson, I don't see why people think Tyson's a game bot in Blood vs. Water. Like,
no.
Please rewatch Blood vs. Water. Tyson is
a lot
dick.
of risks.
Tyson's
as well.
He's the lovable kind of dick. Where
never forget like, Katie's like, go take your seat right over there.
God, Tyson is somebody that I could watch every single season and I would never get tired of him.
I'm really excited to see him and Tony together.
Oh God, that's gonna be amazing.
I feel like they would really get along.
Oh yeah.
Nothing but respect for my assistant coach.
All right, so yeah, enough about Tyson. I can go on all day about Tyson. Number 7, I got Todd.
Okay.
I think Todd's an amazing player. I see no real flaws in his game. I don't really have much else to say that you didn't already say.
Yeah.
I don't really see any flaws in Todd's game.
I agree.
Yeah, I think while I think there's some people that have more standout performances, I feel like in terms of games played, his is one of the most flawless.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's we already talked about that a bit. All right, who's your number 7?
My number 7 is Jeremy.
Okay.
Someone I loved in that season. I chose Jeremy as my winner's pick because I chose it as the first episode was airing.
Yeah.
And I just felt like seeing him, he looked so focused. I loved him in San Juan I also loved Natalie in San Juan and they were aligned. Jeremy is just one of my favorite winners, and I also just feel like he really worked every round to put himself in the best possible position that he could be in. I agree with you. I loved the fishback save. I like it when people play idols to save themselves. I love it even more when someone plays an idol correctly on someone else.
Yeah.
Because that's always a risk. Like, it's one thing if you protected yourself and you got it wrong, because it's still like, okay, but it was the right thing to do. If you play an idol on someone else and it ends up being wrong, you've completely wasted it, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's more impressive to play it with someone else. Really loved Jeremy. Again, the only problem I see with it is that final 6 tribal council where
Yeah.
they get rid of Kimmy.
That was a choice.
Not the best move. Keeping Kelly Wentworth that late as well. Final 4, she should have never made it there.
Yeah, they should have gotten rid of Keith there.
Yeah, they should have gotten rid of Keith there.
All right, so number 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my number 6 is the Twinnie herself, Natalie Anderson.
Ah, Twinnie! Yay, Twinnie!
God, you're gonna come number 6 and be like, oh, you have Natalie at your number 6 too, and then we're gonna be twinnies in that pick.
No, I wish.
Yeah. Natalie, I don't feel as a game she had was as flawless as somebody like Todd. I don't want to call Todd's game flawless, but like it was as close to flawless. I don't think Natalie's game was like that, but it was so stand out,
Mm-hmm.
especially her end game and how San Juan de Sur was basically a retelling of Vanuatu in her revenge story, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Natalie is probably my winner pick for like 2-time winner. Like having her sister go the first vote and then being in such a good position, being so self-aware and being so willing to do these things and take these risks. It's amazing to watch, and it's like why San Juan del Sur is so much fun.
Yeah.
To watch for me. And yeah, that's she's amazing.
She is.
Her idol play on Jacqueline that won her the game.
Amazing.
It was.
That was the point I feel like she had won.
Yeah, because like she was in like at that point it was like it won her the game. Like Jacqueline stayed and then she beat Keith in the next round at Final Four and then won the game. It played out perfectly. It played out just the way that she needed it to and she wanted it to. I don't think that was a flaw. I think that she did it so expertly, or she did it so like expertly. Is that a word?
Expertly.
Yeah. And yeah, she is incredible. Right, who's your number 6?
My number 6 is Yul.
Okay.
Probably to date one of the best strategists that we've seen on Survivor. 300%. He didn't just use the idol like an idol. He used it as a bargaining chip to get people on his side to advance him further in the game. It would have been so easy for people just to throw votes on Yul. He used it and then okay, get rid of him the next round. Like split the votes, like you said. But of course that didn't happen. He very well won himself the game with guaranteeing Adam's vote. When we know it would have gone to Ozzy, Am I bitter? Maybe. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I love watching him. So excited to see him for S40, especially seeing him with Sophie. I feel like they're going to be so good together.
Yeah.
And if this twist is true about them having like money that they can use throughout the game as currency, I feel like he could very well use that to his advantage. If it's like if we've seen anything from how he used his idol in Cook Islands.
Yeah. So we're at our top 5. I think we only share one person in the top 5.
I think so too.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so number 5 for me, I love Sophie Clark.
I know you do.
The thing that puts her so high for me is not her like amazing strategic game, her amazing ability to maneuver and position herself around. She had a good social game, but it wasn't elite. But that's not why I put her here. Her ability to act and play as this faith or as this faithful, like loyal Christian woman. Sophie's an atheist.
Yeah.
Her performance, her ability to stay in that and actually come out of it in like the best position in that alliance, that to me is one of the most elite performances I've ever seen. And that is like that puts her so much higher for me because she ran a cult.
Yeah.
Like she was able to actually lead the cult. And that to me is so nuts in a season like that an atheist won the season dominated by a religious cult. Like
yeah.
Like that to me is absolutely insane, and that's why I have her so high. And that like I just want to see more of that. I want to see more of what she can do because she can do so much more. We got glimpses of it at every which way, but
I think that Sophie is someone who's going to be underestimated in this coming season.
oh, absolutely.
I think she is. If I had to choose like 5 people who I think have the best possibility of being the next 2-10 winner, she would be up there.
Same. I have her high up there too.
I think it's going to be a woman, by the way, just so you know.
I hope so. If only Ozzy was on the season.
Don't.
Yeah, Sophie and Yule. Oh yeah, killing Ozzy's chances.
I'm excited to see Sophie and Kim potentially too.
Same.
Sophie and Danny Boatwright would be good. Sophie and Sandra.
Yeah. All right. Who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Tony.
Okay.
I know you said that the reason you ranked him low is because it's not a game that can be replicated. I don't think it needs to be replicated. We've seen it once. He did it. He did it almost flawlessly. He had good control of the game. I
don't know about that.
He had a decent control. The reason why he's not in my top 3 is because he needed Trish. He does need Trish to reintegrate himself back into people's good graces when he blindsides them time after time after time. He's a very erratic personality. I don't think if you put him at 100 seasons, he wins every time. But the one time he does win, he is amazing, entertaining, one of the best characters we've ever seen. Convincing Wu to take him. How?
I think that
when?
says more about
Why?
Wu than it does about Tony.
I mean, yeah, but Tony is also a very good talker. And he has one of my favorite lines in the entire thing when he's like, the way he handles his idols is amazing. The way he uses that as strategy as well is really impressive. And I love the like, prying eyes want to see, inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
Like, I love that line.
Don't get me wrong.
The way he says it, he sounds like the Godfather.
Don't get me wrong. Tony, in terms of favorite winners, he's like near the top for me.
But even just based on gameplay, if we just take his one winning game, I think it's really, really, really impressive. Yeah. The way he does everything is really impressive.
I agree. All right.
Number 4.
Number 4. I got Lil Miss Danny Boatwright.
Wow.
I was shocked when you said that. So I said Jeremy did it first in terms of the meat shield strategy. I think Danny perfected it first. Like, she had several meat shields going into the merge. She had an amazing social game. I don't think that the game or that the edit really showed how strong of a social game she had.
Mm-hmm.
But she had an incredible social game. She was very cutthroat. She took Stephanie over Rafe, although she would have beaten Rafe too, but still.
Yeah.
Her awareness to be able to pick up, like being able to pick up things that the producers say, that's not actually easy to do, but she was able to actually pick up that, and she used it to her advantage. Like, she realized that the producers generally had a vested interest in seeing Stephanie win, probably. I'm not going to say that they did, but I think that it's either like Danny's opinion, my opinion of her stays the same, or it goes up if that's the case. Like, she had an amazing strategic game. Like, she perfected the meat shield strategy so well by having Rafe and Stephanie betray basically the entirety of the jury. Like, they were the biggest villains because they were always the ones betraying people, and that was a big part of why Danny, like, of why she was so strong, because they did that for her. I believe. Like, I rate her super highly because I feel like it's one of the most underrated dominant games I think that Survivor has ever seen.
Right.
And I don't think you agree.
I don't.
No, she is an incredible winner. Was she was able to be very cutthroat, very under the radar. I think I think she played a much more dominant game with a better cast. I
Okay.
don't I don't think it's as dominant as somebody like him, but I think that she did it with a better cast, and I think to me that's much more impressive. Yeah. I think Danny is an absolutely stellar winner.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So who's your number 4?
My number 4 is Boston Rob.
Okay.
And I wrote it down like that.
Boston Rob.
Boston Rob. Yeah. I mean, he played downright probably the second, well, no, arguably the third most dominant game in the entirety of Survivor from start to finish.
Who would you say is
He,
above him besides Kim?
you'll see.
Oh. Oh, I think I know who then. You're saying that?
um, I've still got 3 people left on my list, all right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, regardless of every single time I say the word regardless, I think of him saying regardless when he was proposing to Amber. Regardless. He regardless of the people he played with, and there were a couple of people who were pretty good. He did the damn thing, and like this is a thing that like we knew he could do this. We knew it.
Yeah.
We knew he could be like this. We saw him in All Stars, and we saw him in HVV. We know he has this capability in him. It's hard to implement though, and he implemented it. And Rob is someone that I think if you put in 100 games, he does do well a lot. I
But
think
you
he
weren't
does.
ranking based on that.
No, I wasn't ranking on that, but I'm just saying, like he's someone who's very impressive, and he's one of my. I would rank him very high on like best players as well as best winners. But in his winning game, he showed us from start to finish that he can control an alliance, create and control an alliance, and get who he needs to get to the end. The buddy system is something that I really feel like should be replicated in Survivor, but hasn't been yet.
Cochran used it to scare people in Caramoan, which I thought was hilarious.
Which is funny, yeah. But like I meant like implement it in the same way, and it very well could be implemented in the same way. It just hasn't been.
I don't think it could be. and it's a lot of due to the
I think that
cast.
I think it would have to be implemented by like
I
again like a
think
tribe that makes the merge, and it would have to be a group decision instead of one person. I think it
I
could be.
think I think that for it to happen again, it would need like the season would probably be bad.
I'm not talking about
Like
quality of the season. I'm talking about the
I
game
know, I'm
someone
saying
played.
I'm saying we'd need to have a low tier cast.
I don't agree.
Okay. So
It's
yeah,
something that we've seen before. A lot of people, when they get to the merge, they stick with their OG tribe. There's nothing really too dissimilar to that, except from Rob was the one in charge. I
I
mean, we
know,
saw
but
it
like
in
I mean
SOPA.
specifically the buddy system,
Oh, the buddy system, yeah, but like
like
there's nothing
fear of the
wrong with
leader.
necessarily sticking with. I mean, like arguably the actual leader in SOPA was Coach,
I thought we were
and
talking about Redemption Island.
I know we are. I'm just saying, like we saw it like back to back, kind of that strategy trying to be implemented, but Rob did it successfully.
I
You
guess. I
know,
don't know. I don't see
I
Coach as
think
much
it's
the leader of it.
I see Coach as the leader. Well, at least Coach thought he was the leader. He tried to be that leader kind of figure. He
Yeah.
tried to do what Rob did. Honestly, it was almost the same thing, and it almost worked out for him. Almost,
Yeah.
but it wasn't implemented the same way that Rob does. Rob commands authority no matter who he's with, whether that's a returning player cast or a newbie cast. But when we're talking about Redemption Island, I don't think it. I think it's very, very hard to find someone who plays better than him.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not even a Rob stan.
Yeah. I'm not either. So, is that all you got on Rob?
That's all I got on Rob.
Okay. So, my number 3, I don't know if you've been keeping track of who my number 3 or my top 3 would be at this point.
I think I know who's your number 3.
Oh, you know who my number 3 is?
I said I think I know who your number 3 is.
Okay. Well, take a guess.
I think there's 3 people that you haven't done yet.
All right, then who do you think was my number 3?
I think your number 3 might be
TikTok.
Tom.
My number 3 is Earl.
Okay, all right.
Earl, to me, has one of the most impressive dominant wins.
Yeah.
And I think it's like perfected. Like the perfected type of like really just strong social game, strong not as good as Danny with the meat shield strategy, but having like he just played a really, really good game. Like he like being able to honestly one of the most impressive things to me was when you take somebody like Dreams and being able to put him at ease, that's amazing. Like
yeah.
when Dreams was playing so chaotic and just like a kind of a train wreck, sort of, just an attitude. But like when he like I don't remember which vote it was. It was after merge. I think it was like final 8, final 9, final 10. I don't remember which one. But like just being able to control that kind of wild card, that's really, really hard. And also his alliance with Yao-Man, his final tribal was stellar.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he just played straight up, like a very straight up one of the best games we've ever seen.
I think as well, what I think is even more impressive about Earl is that he was recruited 2 days before filming it and never seen Survivor before.
He'd never watched the show before. That to me is crazy.
I think that's really funny. I think
I think it's great to have like I think it's great to have somebody with like an outside viewpoint looking in is like, okay, like this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do this because like people had ideas of how to play the game, and we hadn't really seen something like that of Earl. It seems very simple now. And Earl wins pretty much against the entire cast, I think. I don't know if he wins against Yao Man. That's
I don't think he
up
does.
in
I
the
think
air.
Yao Man wins.
I think Earl wins, but I think it's close. I think I kind of rate him similarly to Tyson, actually.
I think he's very similar to the way Tyson played.
Yeah, and I rate Earl higher because Earl beats much more of the cast, whereas Tyson was kind of specific in how he won, which was his plan, but it could have gone wrong. Whereas Earl, I don't think it would have.
I will say though, like in the same vein that you rank Kim and Rob lower, Fiji, apart from maybe Yao Man, doesn't have great competition.
I don't actually think that's true. I think it has a bit better, and I think Earl had to do a lot more to actually secure it, whereas I think Kim didn't.
I just feel like if you look at Fiji's cast, I mean, other than Yao Man, other than Dreams, arguably sometimes maybe.
Who in One World besides Troyzan was capable?
Sabrina was good.
She went to the end with Kim.
Arguably though, even Kim had doubts about Christina being in the final three.
I still don't think that it even comes close in comparison.
But like Kim even was like, I don't want Christina in the final three because if they all bid a vote, they're all gonna vote for Christina.
I still don't think it's close in comparison. I think what Earl did was much more impressive. I think he played a damn near perfect game, and I think he could do it again, whereas I don't think Kim could do that again.
I don't think Earl is gonna be doing that again.
I think, well, like Earl played one of the most perfect games I've ever seen. Like he voted correctly every time, which is huge. He was so close to playing a perfect game. And Jeff thought he played a perfect game because he forgot that he had one vote cast against him.
Yeah. But
like he's like I think he's the first player to ever like he played a hidden immunity idol. Did he play it properly? Oh, I forgot.
He played it himself in Final 5.
Oh yeah, it was like a I forgot about that. But still, it's really impressive to actually do that at the time that Fiji came out.
I just don't think that.
Well, you're wrong.
Shut up. I really, really like Earl. I don't need to think that I don't. I really do. I just, when compared to others, I think people did do it better. And I don't take into account the cast.
I do. That's the thing. I can't not think about the cast in it. Because I think that has so, like, the cast provides so much variation of, like, was the level of competition better or worse?
I will say, Earl has one of my favorite photos in the intro of Survivor.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like he's just like looking out to the side. He looks very like regal in it. I dig it.
All right, so who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Natalie Anderson.
Okay.
One of the best strategical minds I think we've ever seen. IMO. Just seeing her at work.
I was worried about putting her so high because I felt like you were gonna rank her lower.
No, I love Natalie Anderson.
I do too, but I didn't think you would have as high of opinion as of her game.
No, I love her game. I love it. I think she made the best out of a bad situation, being the first person to lose their loved one, their partner. We love Survivor bookends. Seeing her play that idol on Jacqueline, getting rid of Vela, like the jury celebrating, just seeing her like really lock herself, like she won the game there. IMO. It was. I can't say enough good things about Natalie Anderson. I'm so excited to see her back. I wish she would have been on Game Changers, but we're getting her in S40, so
What
I
if it's
love her.
Nadia? What if it's Nadia on S40
That would be kind of high-key hilarious.
and just nobody notices? That'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Jeremy starts talking to her about all the stuff like from Someone That Said. She's like,
Yeah, like,
yep, mm-hmm,
I
I
I
remember that.
remember. Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
there.
Totally, bro.
I love that.
Yeah. All right, so we got our top two. Based on that, I know who your top two is, and you should know who
I,
mine is.
I know who yours is, and we have one person
Yep.
the same.
All right, so number two, I gotta go with the one and the only Miss Tina Wesson. And how dare
Okay.
you for ranking her so low? How dare you?
Just get on with it.
Okay, Tina is the most ahead of her time winner that we've ever seen.
You said that about Hatch.
No, Hatch was ahead of his time in terms of playing the game, but Tina is the most ahead of her time player that has ever been in the game, in my opinion.
Okay.
So Tina, oh God, I don't even know where to start with Tina. So going on, but like thinking about everything she did, she genuinely controlled so much of that game.
She did.
Like having she had that gut instinct that nobody else did, and that nobody else was able to. Nobody else, I don't think, has been able to replicate it. Nobody else has been able to play like the motherly role the way she has. The Mitchell votes, having like being
Mm-hmm.
able to, like, she literally changed the way that the rules were when going to tribal council because of
Game
Tina.
changer Tina Wesson.
Exactly, because of Tina, they can't talk when going to tribal council anymore. She got the vote flipped, talking to Colby, to vote out
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell. I believe it was Mitchell at that
It
point.
was, I believe.
And then, um, like the way that she was able to oust Jerry, the way that she was able to work the jury, like throwing the merge challenge. Like Tina is one of the most cutthroat winners I think that has ever been in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like like she like she, voting out Mad Dog Marilyn, like that was so cutthroat. Like I don't think I can stress enough how much Tina actually did in terms of just in terms of everything that she was planning for and how well she managed the jury and how she was able to so subtly do everything in like how she was able to stay so under the radar even with fans now. People don't see her as the cutthroat, like super like ruthless player that she was.
Right.
She is so unbelievably smart. I cannot say enough incredible things about Tina. And she was so close to winning Blood versus Water. Like Tina is honestly, I'm whenever I think about how much she did and what she was able to do in Australian Outback, it blows my mind. She was so good all the time. Also, she voted correctly every tribal. That's really underrated.
Yeah.
But it's just another part of why she was so dominant. And people don't realize how dominant she was because all the focus was always on Colby. Like people don't give Tina the credit that she deserves.
I mean,
And
Tina was very much so a better player than Coley.
oh, she was. I think Tina's one of the best players of all time.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that. I cannot stress enough how amazing she is and how she is such an amazing winner. And I feel like this is going to overshadow my number one in terms of how great of a player I think they are.
Well, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So,
you're number two.
who do you think it is?
Well, I'm pretty sure you have Kim at number one.
You would be wrong.
Really?
I have Kim at number 2.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, so we can get to that when we get to that. That is surprising.
And then we can talk about our number 1 together.
Yeah, that is okay. Wow. Of
I
all the
try to
things we
think
would
it's...
of all the things that we'd agree on, that was not one I thought we would agree
Neither
on.
did I. I didn't think that you would have our number 1 as high
Yeah.
as they are.
Okay.
So Kim Spradlin is my number 2, and I debated with them and my number 1 spot, who I'm sure you know, but I'm gonna keep it secret for revealing reasons.
That's okay.
I think it's more fun. Okay, shut up.
Fair.
Kim, from start to finish, dominated the entirety of One World. She didn't have any flaws. She
She
didn't.
dominated all 3.5 brain cells that the rest of the cast had.
Yeah, she did, and she did it damn well. And I'm so excited to see her back for S40. I think she's someone who could run deep into the game. I think she's going to be underestimated because of the cast that she played with. But I think if you put Kim in any class, I think she does the same thing. Probably not as perfect as she did, but I think she runs the game. I think she's just that kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Kim. I love her.
All right. So number one. Yeah,
Number 1.
I was not expecting for both of us to have Tom Westman as our number one.
Neither did I.
Like I was going into this, I did when we were making our list together, I did not know who my number one was going to be. I went from the bottom up, and then
Neither did I.
I was like over halfway through when I started thinking about who I was going to have at the top because there was so much competition. And then thinking more and more about it, I was like, Tom not only played one of the most perfect games that we've ever seen, but was one of the best players in Heroes versus Villains.
Very unfortunate what happened.
Yeah, like that game, his placement does not give him the credit that he deserves for how good of a player he was.
Yeah.
I would go as far. I would argue he didn't need any of the immunities that he had.
I would argue the same.
He did not. He did not need. They strengthened his. They strengthened what he had, but he didn't need them. He was so solid. He was so likable. He was very. He was so dominant in a cast of some really good players.
Really good players.
Yeah.
I mean, he, again, someone from start to finish had control.
Yeah.
He had just utter control. Watching Palau for the first time, I already want to rewatch it because I thought it was a very interesting season.
You didn't like it that much from what I remember.
I thought it was very boring at the beginning because the same thing kept happening.
Yeah, but it's like a Greek tragedy.
Keep losing. I guess, but then when I got to Mudge, I found it to be a lot more interesting. I was rooting for Stephanie, really liked Tom though, liked Ian. Ian quitting at Final 3. Wow.
Yeah.
It has a lot of good moments, Palau does. And Tom ran everything. He, another person who didn't have a hair out of place, never took a step out of line. He did what he needed to do. He did it with dominance.
He did it just so masterfully that it, like, I didn't feel like I could put anybody else there. I was thinking about Tina. I did think about Tina, but Tom did it so masterfully where nothing, I don't think anything, like, you change one single event in the game, I don't think Tom loses.
Yeah, because, like, originally I had Kim as my number one. I just put her number one at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then I kept saying to myself, like, every single time I put someone new, I said, is every single person below them, is anyone below them a better player? And then when I got to Kim and I had ranked everybody low, originally Tom was second. I looked at it and I said, do you know what? No, I don't think Kim is better than Tom. So I had to switch them.
Like, I don't think that the way that the thing that made me like put Tom above Kim is I think about like all of the events in the game. Like if one thing changed, would they still win? And for pretty much everybody else, for most things, I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say there's some things for Tina that if she doesn't do certain things, would she still win? Probably not. But for Tom, there's probably something, but I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Like of would he still win the season? And I think in all regards he does.
Yeah.
Like I think people underestimate him because people don't think he had that much of a challenge, but he really did.
I think as well, a lot of things that affect, I think, people's rankings of him is heroes versus villains.
He was so good on Heroes versus Villains.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. And it
He
was
just,
so unfortunate.
he was just on the wrong side, I guess. Like, it still upsets me. He's also, I just really like Tom as a guy.
Yeah.
Another person like S40.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Wait, say it again?
In terms of S40,
What about it?
how do you feel?
Is Tom even on S40?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you feel?
Oh, that he's not on S40? I feel like he would be a great player. I think that he's somebody, despite he's not actually that old.
He's
He's
not.
only in
I
a,
think it's because people he had grey hair. People were like,
yeah, he's only in his mid-50s. Like he's still probably in good.
Mm-hmm.
I would still imagine he's in really good shape. Like he's a firefighter. He has to
Yeah. I don't know if
Like
he's still a firefighter, but
I think he is. Just I can't see. I can't imagine a situation where Tom is not number one for me. And that's the
yeah,
thing that that's the thing that put him over the edge for me is I cannot imagine a situation where he loses. And it was against a good
agree.
cast. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that puts him over the edge for me over somebody else is it was a good cast. He didn't play with sheep that would do anything that somebody says at a moment's notice that looks at them nice.
Yeah.
Like he just had an amazing social game and he was able to do that. Like he was a great player. He's still a great player. Going into this, I did not know who my number one was going to be. And I feel like I came to a really good decision.
Same. So after all of that disagreement, we end up with the same person.
That was something I did not expect.
We agreed on a lot of things, actually.
We
There was a lot of
disagreed on
placements we shared.
we disagreed on certain key points.
Yeah.
JT,
Tina.
Tony, Danny, Earl,
Yeah.
Sophie,
Yeah.
you monster.
You monster.
Yeah, so is that it? I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, we had Tom Westman's a great winner.
Agree.
JT sucks.
Shut up.
All right, so yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. All right,
Oh,
bye
we're turning to
bye.
ASMR now. What was that voice?
That
Yeah,
was a breath. It was a breath.
That's gonna be it.
I was
Welcome to
breathing. Have you
my
ever tried it?
Survivor. No, I'm asthmatic, you bitch.
Alright, so yeah, that's gonna do it for us. Yeah, bye. Bye bye. Say bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.